Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Moosa Cricket Stadium in Pearland, Texas for the second game that we're covering today in the eliminators between the Texas Red Cobras and the Florida Hurricanes. This matchup, again, featuring number one versus number two. Number one from Group A versus number two from Group B. That would be the Texas Red Cobras and the Florida Hurricanes. The Florida Hurricanes themselves actually came to the party a little bit late, and what I mean by that is that they were relatively middle of the pack until an absolutely stunning victory yesterday. And that victory yesterday was by such a large margin that it propelled them into the exact schedule that you see right here. So in looking at the points table from Group A, the Texas Red Cobras, a second-ranked team, 2 wins, 1 loss, and the Florida Hurricanes, number one in Group B by virtue of a tremendous victory yesterday. Just to give you a sense of what that was like, they played against the LA Knights, scored 202 runs yesterday afternoon, and in response, bowled the LA Knights out for 68 runs. So the margin of victory of 134 runs propelled them to the top of the table. And so that is why we are where we are right now. The Texas Red Cobras probably did not expect to be playing against the Florida Hurricanes, but here we are. And so the opening batters, since the Texas Red Cobras lost the toss and the captain for the Hurricanes, Rizwan Mohammed, chose to have a bowl. Opening batters for the Texas Red Cobras are Kashif Rana and Ayaz Sheikh. Ayaz Sheikh is the man who is currently standing at the non-striker's end. Kashif Rana about to take strike. And the man with the new ball in hand is Morshed. And we'll see exactly whether or not the Texas team will be able to get off to a flyer here. Morshed Kalam is your bowler. And you'll see exactly how well the home team can do under these conditions. First delivery, played off the back foot down to short third. No run. And so starting that one outside the line of off stump. And just having a quick look, don't know that necessarily that ball came on the way that he was expecting it to. And it kept a little bit low, which is probably why it took the under edge and went to that short third fielder. So you have to be careful playing cross-batted shots on this wicket. The ball does not bounce very high, and you generally have to stay on the front foot. If you go back on the back foot to play a cross-batted shot, you may not get the ball bouncing to the extent that you think it should. Something to pay attention to as that first single of the day is off of the bat of Kashif Rana. And so again, having lost the toss, the Texas Red Cobras were put into bat. And speaking of batting, the batting has been relatively consistent from 2 people at the top of the lineup. Syed Shafiq Ali for the Texas Red Cobras has 123 runs. And Suhas Naik has 120 runs. Those 2 are your leading batters for the Texas Red Cobras. Other than that, you have Kashif Rana, who is, of course, at the wicket right now. In 3 innings, has 36 runs against his name with a high score of 29. So it did relatively well in one match. The other 2, he will have wanted to score more than he actually did. Total of 7 from 2. This is played square of the wicket into the deep. They'll get a couple of runs here as that ball goes out to Shamsul Huda, who's sweeping on the offside. So a couple more runs to start the proceedings here. Ayaz Sheikh, 2 from 2. Kashif Rana, 1 from 2. And there you have a relatively sedate start. No guns blazing just yet. Texas Red Cobras do have some firepower. We can go through their numbers in a little bit. This one goes by outside the off stump. So as I talked about, they have 2 batters who've dominated things at the top of the lineup. And other than that, not much to write home about, but just looking at the names on this list. Janis Arkan, former Pakistan U19 player. Humayun Bashir, first class player from Pakistan. Zubair Hussain. Several big names on this team as that ball passes by a little bit too far outside the line of off stump for the liking of umpire Myron James. Make that umpire Owen Brown. So even though only 2 batters have gotten runs of note, high score of 65 for Syed Shafiq Ali, also high score of 65 for Suhail Snake, but there is a certain amount of firepower in the side that can be tapped into. Another ball that you see stay a little low, and you're going to have to be careful playing those cross-batted shots in this match, because I would suspect that you're going to see the ball not quite bouncing as high as you think it would have, and a number of ways that can get you in trouble. That is the end of the first over. End of 1, the score is 5 without loss. Five without loss after 1. The bowler coming from the southern end of the ground, the Massey Ranch Road end, is going to be Shamsul Huda. Left arm orthodox, bowling around the wicket between the umpire and the stumps. And we'll be bowling to Ayaz Sheikh, 3 from 4. So each of these teams has 2 wins and 1 loss. For the Texas Red Cobras, they played 2 matches on the 17th. That would be Thursday. They lost to the San Francisco Blasters. Blasters winning that one by 7 wickets. But the Red Cobras coming back and beating the Georgia Titans, who you saw this morning, by 8 wickets. And then a convincing win yesterday over Chicago Braeborn. They won that one by 7 wickets, sneaking a single here. And by comparison, you have the Florida Hurricanes. Talked about what they did yesterday in that huge win over the Knights. Before that, they played 2 on Thursday. The first one, they won by 4 wickets over the New Jersey Black Caps. And Crick Hub, the other local club here in the tournament, defeated the Florida Hurricanes by 9 wickets. So a pretty convincing victory from their standpoint. But all to play for here, as these are the eliminator games. First delivery, of course, a single, as I mentioned, and now we'll see exactly how well Shamsul Huda will do. This is knocked into the leg side again. A couple of singles to start. Over number 2, power play overs, so 2 outside. 1 is sweeping on the deep cover boundary. And long off is also on the boundary, so you're expecting a line that is outside the line of off stump. You're expecting nothing to be too straight. At least you hope, for Florida's sake, that nothing is too straight. Playing this one off the back foot, a dot ball here. So I was talking earlier about the fact that during the power play overs and you bring a spinner on, you would have to have confidence that that spinner is able to locate the ball in exactly the right place, the right line and the right length. If he's not able to do that, then you could potentially get yourself in trouble, because any mistake during the power play overs can be punished because you don't have as much coverage in the deep. But he started out well here. Shamsul Huda, a couple of runs, make that 3 runs from the over already, but just 2 balls remaining, and you'll certainly accept those types of returns from your spinner bowling inside the power play. Played back to the bowler himself, so that good bowling continues. And no boundary struck yet. Just taking a little bit of time to get going here, the Texas Red Cobras. And with one ball remaining, you're almost a third of the way through the power play and fewer than 10 runs on the board. So certainly a good start with the ball for the Florida Hurricanes. And it's going to be up to you to continue on that same vein. Just make sure that you keep things tight, which is what you want at this stage. Pushes this one through at pace, wanted a single, sent back, and probably a good idea. That is only 3 runs that came from the second over. Brilliant over to start with for Shamsul Huda. End of 2, the score is 8 without loss. So back to Morshed Kalam for his second over, the third of the innings. 8 runs on the board. Good start with the ball here for the Florida Hurricanes. This is played into the leg side. Not necessarily the best of deliveries, but that ball goes straight to short square leg for yet another dot ball. I had a few of those to start with here. Really good stuff here from the bowlers. Really 7 dot balls already. So 54% of the deliveries that have been bowled in this match have been dots. Goes for the big shot here, and there's protection in the deep. Long off in position. That's just a single. 2 fielders outside the circle from this end for Morshed Kalam are at long off and deep point. So a similar field to the one that was faced by Shamsul Huda, which tells you that you're essentially going to want that ball outside the line of off stump. Anything too straight certainly can be punished. Next delivery goes off the back foot, runs it down into the deep point area, that same fielder we just talked about. Come back for a second run. That's good running. And so during the time that you have each of the new bowlers relatively miserly getting the ball in the right areas, and you need to do things to sort of try to manufacture runs, it's always a good idea to try to put pressure on the fielding side to run quick runs between the wickets. 3 balls into over number 3, so you're halfway through the third over, which would then represent the halfway point of the power play. So still sort of in second gear here, the Texas Red Cobras, and still in some ways having trouble getting the ball off the square. That is now another dot. Run rate of 4.13, nothing to write home about. That projects to a score of 83. I would think you'd want at least double that. And under these conditions, very cloudy, but the sky, the pitch is keeping a little bit low. But you get the sense, oh my goodness, you've got to be kidding. Oh, that would have been a run out by the distance of about half the length of the pitch. An underhanded throw, not anywhere near. And maybe you see some evidence of that pressure building here on the Texas Red Cobras, who know that they need to start scoring runs. You want to capitalize on the power play overs with 1 ball remaining in the third over. But as of right now, they've not really been able to get going. This opening pair puts on 11 so far, but none of them has really looked like being able to dominate things. And that's a full delivery, a wave and a miss by Kashif Rana. 4 from 9 for him, 6 from 9 for Ayaz Sheikh. And that is the end of over number 3. Halfway through the power play, only 11 runs on the board. So halfway through the power play, and if you want to think that maybe they've already taken a look at how things are and now they need to start going, this is probably what they would be thinking about. A bit of a loose delivery, drifting down the leg side. I think he may have gotten an inside edge onto the pad, and yes, that was an edge because the signal there from umpire Marion James is a 4. So the first boundary of the day, a fortuitous one. I don't know that he needed or wanted to get it that fine, Ayaz Sheikh, but it comes off the inside edge running away down the hill for the first boundary. And you would want to think that the home team will want a lot more of those because they've essentially been in a shell for the most part. Really good bowling by this opening pair. But you want to make sure that they continue maintaining that type of discipline. And the first one that sprayed down the leg side gets punished. Played through the offside. A lot of work for the sweeper to do. Oh, that gets right through him. He got across and got there. But having got there, you really think that he should have fielded that. I think that's Samir Shariq out there in the deep. And consecutive 4s here. A much more convincing stroke, but very frankly, that should have been stopped. Should have just been 1 run. So a couple of 4s to start here in over number 4. And that appears to be that Ayaz Sheikh is getting out of his shell just a little bit. Nothing wrong with that type of delivery when it goes exactly where that one went. And in fact, you think that the captain, Rizwan Mohammed, thinks that that ball really should have been stopped because he's just now replaced that fielder in the deep. So you would expect a similar type of delivery, but hopefully with the better results from a fielding standpoint. Goes off the back foot to backward point. That's a dot. So the first 2 make that the first 3 overs yielded 11 runs. 8 have come from the first 3 balls here in over number 4. So from that standpoint, maybe you're starting to break out of your shell just a little bit if you're the Texas Cobras. Next delivery, left arm around the wicket. In the air and just out of the reach of backward point, running backward. That is the captain, Rizwan Mohammed. He will get to that ball just before he gets to the boundary. A couple more runs, so easily the most productive of all the overs in the innings thus far. 10 from the over already with 2 to come. Ayaz Sheikh and Kashif Rana each just looking to see whether or not they can start cutting loose. Partnership now 21 building, and you've shown signs in this over of being able to break the shackles. Very full, played into short extra cover, no run. Just 1 run remaining here in over, 1 ball rather, remaining in over number 4. For the most part, the bowling has been good. Maybe 1 loose delivery, and that's played away into the deep. A lot of work for the sweeper out there. They come back for the second run. Very, very productive over. 12 runs coming from it after 11 had come from the first 3. So you're definitely going in the right direction there if you're Texas Red Cobras. End of over number 4. The score is 23 without loss. Over number 5, back to Morshed Kalam. This is chopped behind square. Relatively ordinary effort by the fielder. Short, fine leg. Not able to get to it. And that is the 3rd boundary struck for the day. Don't know that there was a whole lot of effort put into stopping that one. But in fairness, once it got past a fielder, a short fine leg, you'd get the sense that it was always going to run away for 4. So momentum is picking up for sure. 12 came from over number 4, and then the first delivery of over number 5 goes for 4. Very full, lofted down the ground. That is a big hit, but it's going to land short of the fielder coming off of the rope at long off. It'll get 1 run. Kashif Rana wanting to accelerate 8 from 10 before that shot, now 9 from 11. And Ayaz Sheikh, 18 from 15, appears to be the one who's more likely to start cutting loose. 2 boundaries for him. Stroked away into that fielder at extra cover. Single there. Now, when you look at where you are now and comparing it to where you want to be, you would think coming in under the conditions and having been inserted into bat, you'd want to put something around 140, 150 on the board. I would think actually 150 would be the minimum that you're looking for. But as of right now, 3 deliveries into over number 5, you're going at the rate of 6.44. 6.44 only translates to a score of 129. Going across the line, and he's dead plumb in front. Umpire Owen Brown with the slow finger of death. But from here, that really did look like he was plumb in front. Kashif Rana playing a sweep shot to a ball that is full and straight, and essentially you're asking for trouble every time you do that. Umpire Owen Brown taking a little bit of a look, but then deciding that this was plowing into probably middle and leg. So the Texas Red Cobras lose their first wicket. And you want to make sure that you don't help the opposition here take wickets. But this one was genuinely a shot across the line. Instead of playing that one in the V, he probably should have been doing that. But he goes or chooses to go towards square leg. And as I always say, comparison is sometimes apt between baseball and cricket. The best batters in baseball can hit 400. If you're hitting 400, that essentially means that you're unsuccessful 60% of the time. And the reason that is because baseball is a cross-batted shot game. And if you're hitting across the line, it is more likely that you'll miss than hit. And that's exactly what you saw that time from Kashif Rana. He has been dismissed. The first wicket falls on 29. 2 balls remaining here in over number 5. The first wicket goes under the column of Morshed Kalam. And now let's see what you can do here with the new batter, who is going to be Suhas Naik. And Suhas Naik, I think you will see, has been, as I talked about earlier, the second best batter in the side in terms of runs. Facing the first delivery here in the air, perilously close to that fielder at backward point. So that's Naik again for the entirety of the tournament. 120 runs, 16 fours, 1 6, has 2 50s with a high score of 65. So he's done well from that standpoint. And let's see exactly how he can go here. Last ball coming up in over number 5. In the air, just over the top of extra cover. So he gets off the mark, not in the most convincing of ways, but he'll take the run. And that is the end of a successful over from Morshed Kalam. End of 5. Texas Red Cobras showed some life there in over number 4 and the start of over number 5, but they've just kind of fallen off the boil a little bit. 7 coming from that over. The score is 30 for 1. Last over of the power play coming up. Shamsul Huda about to bowl his third. So the two opening bowlers have bowled throughout the power play. Wanting a single here and getting it without much fuss. And so talked projections a little bit earlier and the fact that I would think that the Red Cobras are going to want something in the range of 150. As of right now, their scoring rate is exactly a run a ball. That projects, of course, to 120. That is played away into the deep. That's a good shot, but straight to the sweeper at deep extra cover. So continuing to score at exactly a run a ball here. Run a ball gets you to 120. I don't know necessarily that that will be enough, even though the Texas Red Cobras have a very good bowling attack. So maybe you can consider yourself lucky that you have that as a backup option, but I don't know that you want to rely on that. It's probably better to go ahead and take over the batting function to make sure that you're on top of things there, because you don't want to have to leave it up to your bowlers. Fourth delivery off the back foot and no run there. So a couple of singles, then a couple of dots. Excellent bowling so far here for Shamsul Huda. 17 runs conceded in his 2.4, but bear in mind much of that was in his second over where he conceded 12. So other than that, he's only conceded 5. Goes off the back foot here. Probably a couple of runs. A lot of work for the sweeper to do. One-handed pickup. Good clean pickup, actually. Couple of runs there. So that releases a bit of the pressure. But you're still only scoring at the rate of around a run a ball. 34 runs on the board. 35 balls have been bowled in this inning so far. So your job now is to start breaking these shackles if you're the Texas Red Cobras. Oh, very full, and he almost yorked himself coming down the track. The ball almost snuck under the bat, but it's yet another dot ball. An excellent over, excellent spell on the way here for Shamsul Huda. 3 overs, none for 19. The Texas Red Cobras at 34 for 1. So Morshed Kalam is going to bowl all of his overs on the trot. Overs 1, 3, and 5 is what he's bowled so far, and he's about to bowl number 7. 1 for 15 are his figures, so an economy rate of 5 is just about in line with what the overall economy rate of the series of the innings has been for the Texas Red Cobras. Batters are Ayaz Sheikh, 20 from 17, Suhas Naik, 4 from 7. And continuing now with probably around the same field, that fielder at long off and the sweeper on the offside. Oh my goodness, he is gone. A huge swipe, outside edge found, and Morshed Kalam has another. So Ayaz Sheikh opening the batting, was doing well, 20 from 17, but he saw one that he thought was going to be to his liking. You like the fact that he's bowling a full length outside the line of off stump, because with that field, that's what you'd expect for him to bowl. And this first delivery, inducing the big drive and ending up in the gloves of the wicket keeper. And so, second wicket goes here for Morshed Kalam. Catch taken by Zahir Khan, the wicket keeper, and the Texas Red Cobras struggling a little bit here. And that run rate continues to go in the opposite direction of what they want. The score is 34 for 2. And interestingly, you're now out of the power play, but they've essentially kept the same field. 7 inside the circle, and then the 2 outside are in the deep on the offside. So you certainly expect for him, Morshed Kalam, to be bowling a line outside the line of off stump and bowling a fuller length. That time, the fuller length induced the drive, and the drive found the outside edge. But you don't mind him playing in that direction with that type of field. And it really does take disciplined bowling. It's a 6-3 field. In other words, there's 3 on the leg side and 6 on the offside. But of those 6 on the offside, the 2 are in the deep, covering that area that the ball would go to if the batter were to go for a big drive. Now, the man at the wicket, Syed Shafiq Ali, who is the leading batter for the tournament for the Texas Red Cobras, 123 runs, 4 fours, 5 sixes, 2 50s, high score of 65, and a strike rate of 212. And appeal for a leg before here. Umpire Owen Brown not interested. But my goodness, this really is an interesting matchup because, again, you're leading the side in batting in terms of aggregate runs, but you're also, by some distance, the heaviest hitter on the side in terms of how quickly you score your runs. A strike rate of over 200 tells you that you certainly have done well here. Play this one back to the bowler. So a couple of good deliveries after that wicket ball. And now last 3 of the day here for Morshed Kalam rather. And 34 runs on the board. 2 wickets down. A lot of work for the Texas Red Cobras to do to get themselves in the position where I think they'd prefer to be. Very full down the leg side. That's clipped away to square leg. They should get 2 easily here. Actually kind of got away with that. That was a full toss. And it easily could have been put away for 4. Maybe doesn't quite have his eye in yet, Syed Shafiq Ali. But, again, he's relatively dangerous. In fact, not relatively, he is dangerous because he's the most successful batter in the side thus far in the tournament. Last 2 balls coming up here. Works it into, tries to work it into the leg side. This may be leg buys. Yep, there's a signal from umpire Owen Brown. So that's the first leg by for the day, the second extra. First one was a wide happened in the first over. So still you get the sense that the Red Cobras are continuing to have trouble getting the ball off the square. I said that earlier. And this is the last ball of the day for Morshed Kalam. Again, working it into the leg side. Again, I believe this is going to be a leg by. And there's a signal from umpire Owen Brown. So a couple of leg bys, close out over number 7. Excellent spell from Morshed Kalam. 4 overs, 2 for 17. So excellent going from him. Economy rate of 4.4 is certainly something that you want to be excited about. That is the end of 7. The score is 38 for 2. $38 for 2. Good opening spell here for Morshed Kalam. And he, I believe, is the primary reason why the Texas Red Cobras are on the back foot here. Now, a new bowler coming from the Massey Ranch Road end is going to be Charlie Javed. Charlie Javed has been playing cricket longer than many of us have been let's just say, aware of what's going on. Charlie Javed, probably among the senior statesmen in this entire tournament. If I remember correctly, in previous years, he's actually represented the U.S. a number of times. These days, I would guess that Charlie Javed is in his upper 60s, but still doing it on the field. And my goodness, elder statesman that is making it look easy. As of right now, the pressure is continuing. Charlie Javed, right arm, leg spinner, very full, and driven into the area, down the ground, long on, coming over to clean up. There have been 3 fours struck, relatively close succession earlier in this innings, but for the most part, they've been relatively difficult to handle. There have been 11 singles, 6 doubles, and 3 fours. So when the dot balls, which have added up to 21, so around half of the deliveries in this innings have been dot balls. Once you've gotten to that stage, then essentially you're cutting off opportunities to score. When half of the deliveries that are balled to you don't score off of, that puts pressure on the batting side because you have to be able to manufacture ways of scoring runs. Goes off the back foot directly to backward point. So that is a dot. Charlie Javed doing really well here. Couple of deliveries into his spell, and you would get the sense that he just wants to maintain the pressure the way that it's building right now. Tossed up, played into the offside. That is Syed Shafiq Ali. 2 from 6 now. Make that 3 from 6 for him. And 3 from 6 doesn't sound like there's a lot to write home about there, but what it does mean is that your best batter is taking some time to get himself set. And for coming down the track this time, Suhas Naik works it into the leg side. Should come back for a couple. Good piece of work. And 2 runs. You always get sort of motivated when you can do that because dot balls, of course, tie you down, but singles at this stage, even though you don't necessarily want to refuse them, you get the sense that you want more than that. And that's an elegant looking shot over the top of the offside. Long run by long off. Did he get there in time? No, he did not. He attempted to use his boot to stop that ball from going over the ropes, was not able to do it. And that is a boundary from Suhas Naik. That is the first boundary that he struck. And that is a good piece of work and a welcome boundary for the Texas Red Cobras, who, again, are struggling just a little bit. 4 fours are struck. 2 of them came in 1 over earlier on. So for the most part, you've been restricting them. But as of right now, you get the sense that they might be able to start breaking these shackles. 2 balls remaining in over number 8. And 45, make that 46, make that 1 ball remaining over number 8. My apologies. 46 runs on the board, slow through the air, and takes a good look at this one. Umpire Myron James, and then decides that it is a legal delivery. 8 runs coming from the over. End of 8, the score is 46 for 2. So in other games of note, the San Francisco Blasters, who you could probably argue are the class of the tournament. Currently playing against the New Jersey Black Caps. It is an absolutely monstrous game. And we'll go over what that looks like shortly. That's played down the ground. There's the new bowler. That is Naveed, who's bowling from the northern end of the ground. Naveed Ahmed. And to the extent that more than one bowler can attempt to build pressure, they usually talk about the fact that great bowlers hunt in pairs. If you have one bowler who is building pressure and then another bowler who's able to come on and maintain that type of pressure, then that sort of puts the batting side in a box. And so in the ninth over here, Naveed Ahmed is at the point where he's looking to maintain that type of pressure. That's skied down the ground. How catchable is this? It's not catchable. Goes all the way for 6. That is a big hit, and that is the first 6 of the day, struck by Suhas Naik. And Suhas Naik now up to 17 from 13. 53 from 2 is your score. A single, and then a 6. And that is definitely a pressure release kind of a shot. And more than anything else, you want to put yourself in the position where you start getting to the point where you're breaking the shackles. So we'll see what type of comeback delivery is here. Well played when bowled, actually. Just short of driving length that time. Just slightly shorter than the previous ball that was put away for 6. So 3 deliveries into over number 9. And Naveed Ahmed is going to look to see if he can recreate the magic from the first ball. That one is a little too shorter than he'd like. Oh, that is a fumble. Tell you what, that could easily have been another. Could have gotten something more productive out of that, but ends up just getting a couple of runs. That's misfield in that short mid-wicket position. Produces a couple runs. So maybe you can get the sense that runs are flowing at a little bit faster rate here. Over number 8 went for 8 runs. Over number 9 thus far, 4 deliveries in, is worth 9 runs. Looks to cut this one away off the back foot. Did not get anything on it. And then the last ball coming up here. So productive over this thus far for the Red Cobras. The overall run rate now up above 6. So it was down around 4 for a while. The projected score based on the current run rate of 623 is up to 125. We'll see whether or not they can maintain that momentum. Struck down the ground, a lot of work for mid-off to long off rather to do. He will not get there. So the most productive over of the innings ends in a score of 13 for that over. Most of that damage done by Suhas Naik. 23 from 17 with the bat. Syed Shafiq Ali has 4 from 7. But the Texas Red Cobras probably feel a little bit better about where they are right now. 59 for 2 is the score after 9.
What was he saying? What was he saying?
I'm not sure about what over there. I just asked him for the email real quick and got his information.
Okay.
I thought you got the interview.
He's been bringing people in at random. Doesn't always make for good audio.
That's what you mean. But y'all, that's perfect, really.
No, me and Faisal
Yeah.
and Junior. That's perfect.
I loved it.
This guy I don't know. He's bringing in the most. He always brings in the most random people.
Must be express.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah. 59 for 2. Charlie Javid. First over went for 8. And looking to see whether or not Syed Shafiq Ali can continue to build the momentum that the Red Cobras have found recently. Plays this off the back foot. Immediately going for a single. And they will get that single. So you're at 60. You've conceded or you're scoring at a rate of 6.55 and over. In the last couple of overs, things have gone a little bit more smoothly. Tossed up and worked into the deep. A lot of work for the fielder at deep mid wicket. And they'll get through for a couple. Now, coming back for a third. Oh my goodness, the direct hit there could have been curtains. And on adding insult to injury, that errant throw results in them having run 4, if I'm not mistaken. And that easily should have been a run out. And they did, in fact, run 4. So, my goodness. Gave away a couple of extra runs that time. And not exactly sure why it is that would have happened the way that it did. But let's see what happens next here. Clipped into the short mid-wicket area. They'll get 1. Scoreboard actually now shows that my sense is that they certainly did run 4, and you're keeping it in the same way that allows you to continue getting runs. And those runs are flowing just a little bit more smoothly now. Wanted to cut this one off the back foot, missing out. No ball. No, it was not a no ball. That was just umpire Myron James signaling to his partner Owen Brown that 2 balls were left. So, with 2 balls left, we'll see what he can get done here. Charlie Javid. Tossed up. Lovely over extra cover for 6. That is the brilliant. That for me is the shot of the day. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Goes all the way over extra cover for 6. That is Syed Shafiq Ali, who is leading the side in 6s. Talked about that earlier. 5 6s before that. So he's now struck 6 6s, 16 boundaries, and certainly living up to his billing as the highest run getter for the entire tournament this far, at least for the entire tournament for the Texas Red Cobras. 12 runs from the over. So you're picking up a lot of runs in the last 5. The last 5 have gone for 41, but the last 2 have gone for 25 with 1 ball to come. So this tells you that momentum has been switched. The Texas Red Cobras are now looking a lot more like the team that you expected to see, putting up, I think, a score as of right now that projects to 144, but they'll want much more than that. And to the extent that you can get more than that, this partnership you would think would have a lot to do with it. 42 runs is what the partnership is worth right now. And then certainly getting you in the position that you can start capitalizing on the situation. Going off the back foot, wanting to force it away, doesn't make contact with it, but another productive over. 12 runs coming from it. At the end of 12, the score is 71 or end of 10 rather. The score is 71 for 2. So after a quick water break, the players will resume. The last couple of overs, you would argue, have definitively gone the direction of the Texas Red Cobras. 7.1 runs an over is what they're averaging right now. But the last 5 overs have gone for 41. So that's 8.2. And in particular, the last 2 overs have gone for 25. The last 3 overs have gone for 33. So the over rate or the scoring rate has picked up tremendously in the last 3 overs. And that's where you've been put into a position now that makes you feel a little bit better than where you were 3 overs before that. So the new bowler from the Pearland end is going to be Aparsamy Balaji, who happens to be the leading wicket taker on the side. He's a right arm off spinner. 3 for 14 are his best figures. Economy rate of 5.64. That's played away into the deep. Oh, no reaction by the fielder sweeping on the offside. Did not see it for a second. I don't know necessarily that he'd have been able to get to it had he been able to see it. That's Shamsul Huda out there, who probably reacts in such a way as to suggest that he was not quite ready for the action yet. But does not matter. The first ball blasted away for 4 through the covers. Suhas Naik continuing on his merry way. He's now 32 from 20. Syed Shafiq Ali, 11 from 11. And you're continuing along in such a way that allows you to continue to capitalize on the conditions. So, given that things have gone more in your direction recently, a little bit of more of a defensive feel to the proceedings here for Florida. Over extra cover, lovely. Absolutely lovely shot for 4 more. And that is genuinely a shot of class. Consecutive 4s here to start over number 11. And you've seen the class of Suhas Naik. He's now up to 36 from 21. And along with Syed Shafiq Ali, has put on a partnership that is now worth 45. Brilliant partnership. And it's causing the fielders in the deep for Florida to be a little bit scrambled, because it appears as though they're not quite sure how they want to attack this pair. And I want to see exactly what adjustment is made here, because those 2 last deliveries were too far outside the line of off stump. Advancing down the track, couple of bounces down to long on, really more mid wicket. But he's looking much more aggressive here, Suhas Naik, and wanting to capitalize on what appears to be a bit of apprehension by the Florida side. Partnership now worth 46. Next delivery, tossed up, stroked into the air. That is a sweeper coming off of the rope for yet another single. 10 runs from the over already. 2 balls remaining here in over number 11. But my goodness, this does feel like an entirely different team from what you saw the first several overs in this match. Dragging it this time. A lot of work for deep mid-wicket. Diving stop. And I'll tell you what, a couple of runs more here. Not the strongest of throws, not the most accurate of throws. And that yields a couple more runs with 1 ball remaining. So Balaji Aparsamy, make that Aparsamy Balaji, is by some distance the best bowler in the side. Economy rate of 5.6, but he's been made to look a little bit foolish here. And this is too far outside the line of off stump. 13 runs already in his first over, still with 1 ball remaining. And he's going to have to be careful here bowling to Syed Shafiq Ali, because really to Suhas Naik rather, because he's shown an ability to hit big down the ground. That goes all the way for 6. So 19 runs come from over number 11. 90 is your score. The partnership is now worth 56. And the Texas Red Cobras after some amount of, let's call it, indifference with regard to stroke play, are now stroking it with authority, and the score is 90 for 2. Well, the tables have certainly turned. 19 runs coming from over number 11. A big one, the biggest by some distance for the Red Cobras. Charlie Javid back into the attack. Single here. Oh, I'll tell you what, putting the pressure on the fielding side. This is good running between the wickets. And even though neither of these two batters is on the or in the age range between 40 to 49, they're both above 50. But they've both run very aggressively between the wickets, putting the pressure on the fielding side. And in that instance, it brought them an extra run, or it brought them a run. Don't think that there would have been a run there otherwise. Here is the next delivery. Using the feet, coming down the track, working it into the deep mid wickets. That is Shamsul Huda. You saw him open the bowling earlier. But now the Florida Hurricanes are well and truly on the back foot, because that scoring rate has now shot all the way up to 8.12, a projected score of 162. Not too long ago, we're talking about a projected score of 120. Next delivery, short. Oh, I'll tell you what, he probably could have done something with that. Went for the big shot outside off stump. It was genuinely a half tracker, as they say. But he was not able to get anything on it. Next delivery. Checks the shot. Just drops it into that backward point area for a single. And now three runs have come from this over already with 2 balls remaining. So a much more economical over here from Charlie Javid. This is his third over. Goes for the big hit, not able to make any contact with it. 1 ball remaining. And genuinely a much better over here, coming back for the Texas side. Played into the offside, make that in the leg side, and they'll get a single. That is the end of over number 12. Honestly, a much better over this time for the Florida Hurricanes. Just 4 runs coming from it after that 19-run blitz in over number 11. End of 12, 94 for 2. So the captain takes the bull by the horns, Rizwan Mohammed. Good delivery. Very full. Clipped into the leg side. They'll get one. Oh, they wanted a second run there, particularly Suhas Naik did. But they limit the damage to one. Good piece of work in the outfield. And honestly, well bowled because you're trying to get that ball so full that the batters cannot get underneath them. And from this end, with the wind now starting to pick up, it is helped by the wind if you get the ball in the air, hitting it straight. So you certainly want to be shorter than driving length or very full that they can't get under it. Slapped away into the deep, but there's a man out there. So again, two good deliveries by Rizwan Mohammed. And you've seen Rizwan Mohammed play for a very, very long time, a stalwart of the sport in a number of different ways. Rizwan Mohammed has taken 2 wickets this entire weekend, bowled 7 overs, conceded 65 runs, economy rate of 9.29. What happened here? Oh, he bowled him. Oh, my goodness. As I was looking away and describing Mr. Mohammed's efforts, he has picked up a wicket because wanting to go big, Suhas Naik, 48 from 28, and wanting to take advantage of the new bowler, but all of a sudden, he has been sent back. So success for the captain, bringing himself on. And bear in mind, the last over from this end conceded all of 19 runs. This is a great comeback for Rizwan Mohammed and the Florida Hurricanes. A big partnership is broken. It was worth 62 runs. But given that that partnership is now broken, they'll have to start over with somebody else. The Texas Red Cobras are 96 for 3. So the new batter at the wicket, former Pakistani U19 star and USA former player, all-rounder Janisar Khan. Oh, appeal. Owen Brown taking a good look, but I believe on the angle this one is going down. There may also have been a question about height. So not given. He may consider himself lucky there, Janisar Khan. But ultimately, I believe that was missing. And Owen Brown will not make very many mistakes. So you trust his word if he says that was not out. Looking to play the sweep, appeal again. Boy, Florida is now begging for a wicket because this one I definitely believe is going down with the angle. You see the indication there from Owen Brown that it's a leg by, so no bat involved. A couple of maybe anxious moments here for Janisar Khan and Rizwan Mohammed wanting to close out an excellent over with as little damage as possible. An extra wicket for them would be a bonus. And it is Syed Shafiq Ali who's on strike now, 15 from 16. Powered away. The man in the deep at long on comes over to his right, and they'll get one. Oh my goodness, they come back for the second. A direct hit there. Is he gone? He's not gone. He made it in time, Janisar Khan. Direct hit clipped off the top of the bails, and you thought just for a split second that he may have been short of his ground, but umpire Myron James thinks that he would have made it. So 5 runs coming from the over, the last 2 of which were a little bit streaky, but you'll take those bonus runs. 99 for 3 is your score after 13. So Charlie Javid, 3 overs, none for 24, and he's about to bowl his 4th over on the trot. Bowling to Janisar Khan. Faced 2 deliveries, wrapped on the pad both times. Umpire Owen Brown said it was not out both times. Played square, and it's fumbled, not picked up cleanly, but not enough to be able to steal a run. So Janisar Khan remains scoreless. You're down to the last 41 balls of the innings. Very full, stroking it into the deep, and he's off the mark, Janisar Khan. How much depends now on the man who's proven himself to be the leading batter in the side Shafiq Ali. .100 is up with that single, by the way. Played back to the bowler himself, no run. So, of course, we talked earlier about the fact that there are multiple games going on at the moment, and I think the team that could probably reasonably make an argument to being the best side in the tournament, the San Francisco Blasters, are currently playing. Let's see what they're doing. We'll talk about that after this next ball. Wave and a miss outside the line of off stump. 2 balls remaining. San Francisco Blasters, 70 for 3 in the 11th over. Lost a couple of quick wickets. You have Sarab Singh, 19 from 24. Ankur Makhija, 25 from 19. This is off the back foot, play to backward point, no run. And then Krishna Prasad back to San Francisco, 13 from 9. So not exactly with their foot on the gas just yet, but you feel that they're setting themselves up for a relatively decent score here. So we'll continue following that as we go through this game. In the meantime, this particular game, 1 ball remaining here in over number 14. Around the leg side, paddler on the corner, long run for the fielder at square leg, and they'll jog through for 2 runs. So the scoring has come back to earth, if you will. Texas Red Cobras seem to have been in position to blast off a couple of overs ago, but as of right now, the score at 103 for 3 means that they have a projected score of 147, and that number has gone up and down for a while. So in this game of swinging momentum, it is back in the direction of the Florida Hurricanes. Back to Rizwan Mohammed, who had a brilliant first over. Captain coming in and putting his team back on the right track. 103 for 3 is your score. Side Shafiq Ali. This is pulled away into the deep. Should just be a single. So, given the current situation, scoring grade of 7.34, projected score 147. Florida Hurricanes, remember, winning the toss and choosing to bowl. Janisar Khan plays us back to the bowl. A good piece of work with the offhand. He's a right-hander, of course, but he fielded that cleanly with his left hand. Rizwan Mohammed. Next delivery coming up here. Goes big down the ground. Look at that strike. Absolutely brilliant strike that time from Janisar Khan. Goes all the way for 6. That is the 4th 6 of the innings. And that maybe breaks the shackles just a little bit. You saw that ball get in. Maybe Rizwan Mohammed getting that one too full. And it blasts over the top of the side screen. If you will ask me to estimate how far that ball went, it's 58 yards to the boundary, from the non-strikers' end. So add another 22, that makes it 78, and it landed about 10 yards beyond the boundary line. So I would estimate about 88 to 90 yards is where that ball went. So quick bit of a delay while the ball was retrieved. They're ready to go again. 3 balls remaining over number 15. Janice Arkan is more than ready to keep going. Next delivery. Oh, he wanted the big shot, you could tell. Ends up getting a thick under edge. The ball trickles to mid-wicket for no run, but he's now lining himself up. Just 32 balls remaining in the innings, 7 wickets in hand, so he may just start thinking that he can be a little bit more enterprising here. Oh, that was in the slot and drilled away just wide of the fielder at mid-wicket and goes away for 4. So Johnny Sarkhan now into double figures, 13 from 9. Syed Shafiq Ali is 19 from 21. And this partnership is now growing. It's 90, make that 18 since the last wicket fell at 96. And with 1 ball to go here in over number 15, a bit of a cat and mouse game where the momentum keeps swinging like a pendulum. I would think it's safe to say that it's back in the direction right now of the Texas Cobras, Red Cobras. Last ball, Johnny Sarkhan, more than capable of hitting big on his day. Former Pakistan U19 player plays this down the ground. Should just be a single, but 12 runs coming from this over. Excellent over for the Texas Red Cobras. End of 15. Last 5 coming up. The score is 115 for 3. We are into the back end of the innings. 12 runs came from the last over. Johnny Sarkhan cutting loose. He's now up to 14 from 10. Syed Shafiq Ali, who's been there a while, came at the fall of the 2nd wicket. And he is 19 from 21. So came in with a strike rate of over 200, 212 to be exact. But his current strike rate in this innings is under 100. So not striking it to the extent that he usually does. But I think at this stage, with just 30 balls remaining, you may see him look to cut loose here. And going now to a new bowler since Charlie Javed is done. It's going to be Naveed Ahmed, who's bowled 1 over, conceded 13 runs. And I think that you'll see that he'll try to not concede the runs that he did the first time. Lovely stroke down the ground. A lot of work for mid-off. Make that long off to do. Coming back for the 2nd run. Getting there relatively easily. So good-looking shot. Just stroking it in the air or actually on the ground through that extra cover position. No fuss whatsoever in that shot. So I think that you'll see that momentum continue to go in the direction of the Red Cobras. Stroked it right back to the bowler. That is a spectator's catch, if you will. I will tell you that just for a split second, I thought it was an actual catch, which is why they called it a spectator's catch. But 4 balls remaining here in over number 16. Scoop shot, running away down the hill for 4. Oh, innovative from Janissar Khan. Stepping inside the line and working it over his shoulders. I'll tell you what, that is not, number one, it's not an easy shot to play. Number two, it's an absolutely risky shot to play if you're not wearing a helmet, because so often that ball can come off of the face of the bat and go right into your face. And if you're not wearing a helmet like Janissar Khan is, that ball would do some damage. I would guess that Naveed Ahmed is not the quickest bowler around, but doesn't matter. That ball coming into your face at, let's just say, 60 miles an hour is still going to hurt tremendously. Could have done some major damage, but thankfully for Janissar Khan, that did not happen. He easily gets 4 down to fine leg. That shot is always on, by the way, with no one at fine leg inside or out of the circle. Full, blasted into that short extra cover area. They'll get a single. I'll tell you what, though, the fact that that went to extra cover directly to that fielder and he fielded it means that they were a little bit lucky. If it goes 1 yard to either side of that fielder, it goes all the way to the boundary for 4. So 2 balls remaining here. Naveed Ahmed, 2 overs, at least 1.4 overs, 2 more balls to go before his second over is completed. He's already conceded 9 in this over. Make that 7 in this over. And here is the next ball. Goes for the big drive over extra cover, not making any contact with it. Side Shafiq Ali, 19 from 22. Janissar Khan has actually overtaken Side Shafiq Ali in terms of number of runs. 21 from 14 for Janissar Khan, and he's striking it at a higher strike rate. He's over 100. Side Shafiq Ali, 19 from 22. Next delivery, played off the back foot. They'll easily run a single here. And another good over here for the Texas Red Cobras, 8 coming from it. And at the end of over number 16, the score is 123 for 3. $16 overs in the books. Last 24 balls coming up. Shamsul Huda, who opened the bowling, bowled 3 overs from the Massey Ranch Road and the southern end of the ground. Will now be taking over to bowl his final over from the Pearland end. Left arm around the wicket. And he's bowling to 2 batters who, you get the sense, do not feel any trepidation whatsoever about going big if the opportunity presents itself. So, left arm around. Bowling now to side Shafiq Ali. Here's the first delivery. Plays it into the offside. They'll get a single. That's all they'll need. And so Janissar Khan is the more enterprising of these two in terms of creative shot making, if you will. You've seen the reverse scoop. He can also play, or you saw the scoop, he can also play the reverse sweep. And of course, if you can hit big from this end, the wind will help you if you hit straight down the ground. So remember that as well. Goes off the back foot, not quite able to get anything on that one though. So Good couple of deliveries here from Shamsul Huda. Plays a sweep. Nobody out there. That's going to run away close to the boundary. It's slowing down a little bit, but it does have the legs to get there. So Janissar Khan sweeping that one from outside the line of off stump, but not much risk in that shot. And he's more than able to get enough bat on it. While he did not hit it cleanly, it was still with enough power to get it to go running down the hill for 4. So the scoreboard ticking along here. It's at 128. Your projected score from here is 155. But with 7 wickets in hand, you would think that they'd want to press on for more than 7.7 runs and over, which is where they are now, which is what the projection is based on. Let's see how far they get. 3 balls remaining here. Stroking it into short extra cover. They'll jog through for a single. Your work is not done yet. Syed Shafiq Ali, 21 from 24. In the slot, skies it, doesn't make clean contact, long run, and I'll tell you what, he was coming back for a second run there, didn't get the chance to get it. So, a bit of a comedy of errors because that ball was there to be hit, but that ball hit way up, higher on the bat than he was expecting, Syed Shafiq Ali. And then the fielder at short mid-wicket ran all around it, not able to get anywhere near it. Last ball here. Looking to advance down the track. Finds the outside edge and they'll get a run. 8 runs coming from that over. A decent last over under the circumstances for Shamsul Huda. But you're down to the last 18 balls of the innings. And you know that the Red Cobras are going to be looking for something on the range of 30 to 35 runs from these last 18. So, 3 overs to go, 131 for 3. So maybe a bit of a roll of the dice here for the captain, Rizwan Mohammed, who is bringing himself on as an off spinner to face 2 right-handed hitters who can both clear the ropes. And so, not that this is sort of a paint by numbers scenario, but ordinarily you would not want to bring your off spinner in to bowl at the death to 2 right-handers. Let's see what happens here. Ripping this one over extra cover for 4. My goodness, Janissar Khan played that shot with authority. Skipping down the track, the ball wasn't exactly a half volley, but he made it into a half volley by advancing down the track and blasting it past extra cover for 4. So Janissar Khan now into the 30s, 31 from 19. And you get the sense that this partnership is turning into one that is really starting to be worrisome for the Florida Hurricanes. It's now worth 39. Second largest partnership in the innings. The 3rd wicket partnership was for 62. This one so far is worth 39. And let's see exactly how Janissar Khan can continue here. Fielders in the deep at deep cover, deep extra cover, and long off. So that would imply he'll keep it outside the line of off stump. That goes in the direction to deep cover. They may look for a second run here. No. Good piece of fielding. Immediately onto that ball in a flash. There's a fielder in the deep. Now, how much of a difference can Syed Shafiq Ali make? Again, I've said it a couple times. He came in as the leading batter for the team in this tournament this weekend. How much can he elevate the conversation? How much can he justify his role as the team's top batter? Ooh, that is in the air and cut away for 4. That was a real hit me ball. Bounced short, very, very short, and very, very wide. Talked about the 3 fielders in the deep, but they're all there for shots that come off the front foot. That one was very wide, very short. So once you go on the back foot and cut that away, nothing really can be done to stop that ball from racing away to the boundary for 4. So 9 runs from the first 3 balls. I don't know that there's a whole lot of choice for death bowlers in terms of style of bowling. If you had a good pace bowler, you'd consider using him here. If you had a good leg spinner, you might consider using him here. It always, to me, feels a little bit problematic to bring your off spinner in under these circumstances. Goes off the back foot, a little bit late on the shot, can't get anything on it. Oh, it's a no ball. Oh, my goodness. Or is it no? My apologies. Oh, so Myron James, the umpire, is signaling to his partner, Owen Brown, that it is 2 balls left. But I thought he was signaling no ball. And I think that's what they're trying to work out here. He's done that a couple of times. My apologies for not understanding what he's trying to signal. That's a dot, a precious dot ball. 1 ball remaining. 9 runs from the over already. Not quite done yet, though. Has to close out strongly here. Rizwan Muhammad. He's into his 3rd over, by the way. So he'll probably, you would think, if he's bringing himself onto bowl number 18, that he may also bowl over number 20. But let's see how well he goes here. The result of this next ball may factor into that decision when it comes. 18 over, 18th over is about to finish. Here's the last ball. 3 consecutive deliveries, waving and missing outside the line of off stump. So that is a successful close to the over. That may factor into Rizwan Muhammad's thinking as he considers who's going to bowl over number 20. End of 18, 140 for 3. So 19, make that 18 overs a finish. The 19th is about to be bowled by Naveed Ahmed. 2 overs, none for 21. First over went for 13. Second went for 8. Bowling now to Janisar Khan, looking for the big drive. Very full. Maybe playing across the line more than playing straight that time, Janisar Khan. Thick inside edge onto his pad for no run, but it's a precious dot ball. You want many more of those. Here's the next delivery. Oh, again, full and straight. Very, very full. And this is good bowling. Anything shorter than that allows Janisar Khan to get underneath them, but he's not exactly affording him that opportunity. And so 2 very full deliveries. And I'll tell you what, you've just had 5 consecutive dot balls. The last 3 deliveries of over number 18 were dots. And the first 2 here in over number 19 have not been scored off of. Now, this one doesn't exactly get as full as you'd like for it to, but you see that reaction there from Janisar Khan, knowing that he could potentially have done better with it than he actually did. And so now, in the last 6 deliveries, you've had 1 run. So that cat and mouse game continuing. Down the ground, what a shot. Lands short of the fielder at long on, though. And they'll get a single. On balance, this is a great 19th over. The penultimate over of the innings, particularly in the second innings, is usually reserved for your best bowler. Not necessarily the same situation in the first innings, but you still want somebody to keep the batters quiet, and that's what he's doing here. Oh, that's not keeping him quiet. That is out of the ground. The first time it lands is in the hill beyond the fence, and that is yet another hit that probably travels somewhere around 85 to 90 yards. Big shot by Janisar Khan. That is the 5th 6 of the innings. 8 runs from the over already. You're at 148. So I said earlier you wanted to get something to around 160, 161. That is still within range here, particularly given that you get the sense that it will be a spinner who's bowling the 9th, make that the 20th over. So 7 deliveries remaining in this innings, 7 wickets in hand. 148 on the board. How far do they get? Here's the next delivery to Janisar Khan. Slamming it in the air, but landing short of long on. I believe they will just settle for this one. Oh, fumble, and they'll come back for the second run. You get the sense that Janisar Khan didn't really want to come back for that second run because he wanted to be on strike to start the next over. Nevertheless, 2 runs to the good. 10 runs coming from over number 19. End of over number 19. The score is 150 for 3. Well, I referred to it earlier as a roll of the dice. Rizwan Muhammad is going to bowl the 20th over. I don't know necessarily that you'd introduce a new bowler here, so the only bowlers with overs left would be Balaji Aparsami or Aparsami Balaji, who is an off spinner as well. Naveed Ahmed just bowled over number 19, so obviously he can't bowl, and all the other bowlers are finished. So maybe this is not quite as much of a way of a roll of the dice as you've had. Now, I will say this. The last 4 deliveries that Rizwan Muhammad has bowled to Syed Shafiq Ali have all been dots. And that's why I was thinking earlier that Janisar Khan didn't necessarily want to take that last single. They go for a single here, though. 4 deliveries remaining with 151 on the board. What can Janisar Khan do here? The wind has picked up coming in from the south, so if Janisar Khan hits this down the ground, it will be into the wind. But with 4 balls remaining in the innings, I don't know that that matters much. I don't think that that will prevent him from going for the shot if it's there, if he feels that it's there. Let's see exactly what Rizwan Muhammad can do here. Walks across his stumps, looks to sweep this. I'll tell you what, he refuses the single. Very interesting, because you've seen a number of dot balls bowled from Rizwan Muhammad to Syed Shafiq Ali. He refuses the single here, Janisar Khan, so he wants to remain on strike. Let's see exactly what he's able to do here with these last 3 balls. Down the ground. Do they push for 2? I would think they would have to push for 2. And in fact, they're jogging that second run here. Janisar Khan is anyway. And the ball gets away from from Rizwan Muhammad, but under no circumstances do I think Janisar Khan is going to run for a third, because he wants to remain on strike here. 2 balls to go. 153 on the board. And a relatively big total is probably out of reach, but something psychological about getting to 160, that would be a bonus. So let's see whether or not they can get close. Tossed up, drilled down the ground. I would think they'd have to come back for the second run here. Throw coming to the striker's end, or the non-striker's end rather, and was not able to affect the run out. So 2 runs there, but the more important stat is that Janissar Khan is back on strike for the last ball of the innings. 155 on the board. Would need a maximum to get it to 160. Again, probably more of a psychological advantage than an actual one, because 155 is a relatively challenging score. But let's see whether or not Janissar Khan can cash in on this last ball. Short, hammered away into the deep. They'll come back for 2, but they won't get anything close to 160. Second run, and they'll take it without much fuss. So ending the innings with 3 straight doubles, 7 runs coming from that last over. So it's not a bad over under the circumstances for Rizwan Muhammad. End of the over, end of the innings, the score is 157 for 3. So Kashif Rana opened the batting along with Ayaz Sheikh. Kashif Rana 9 from 12, Ayaz Sheikh 20 from 18. Suhas Naik 48 from 29, Syed Shafiq Ali 28 from 32, Janissar Khan 47 from 29. The momentum that was needed came from Janissar Khan's bat, and that's what you saw there. So for the bowlers, I thought for the most part they were good in fits and starts, but didn't maintain the momentum that they needed to throughout. Murshid Kalam, 4 overs, 2 for 17. You could probably argue he was the pick of the bowlers. In fact, he definitely was. Not only was it economy rate of 4.3, but he took 2 wickets, leading the side in both those categories. Then Huda Shamsul, 4 overs, none for 27. Charlie Javid, 4 overs, none for 28. Naveed Ahmed, 3 overs, none for 31. Aparsami Balaji, 1 over, 19 runs conceded. And the captain himself taking the bull by the horns. I think this is a really important spell from Rizwan Muhammad. 4 overs, 1 for 32. So we'll go on a short break here, and we'll see whether or not the Texas Red Cobras can defend a score of 158. Going dark here for the next 10 minutes. See you soon. Back here at Moosa for the final innings of the day. Florida Hurricanes looking to overhaul a target of 158. Texas Red Cobras looking to keep them to a number south of that. Amir Shazad is the man with the new ball in hand at the bottom of your screen. And he will be bowling left arm over the wicket, looking to see if he can restrict the efforts of the Florida Hurricanes to go on and claim victory in this Veterans Cricket USA T20 Franchise Tournament elimination round. The winner of this game goes on to play tomorrow. And in a minute, we'll take a peek in at the ongoing match at the Balkis Cricket Ground between San Francisco and New Jersey, which is also, I think, can easily be described as a barn burner. Openers for the Florida Hurricanes are Manav Sharma and Mak Qureshi. Mohammad Afzal Qureshi, if you will, MAQ. In fact, it may be this first tournament that I know his name to be Mac or Mohammed. Generally just goes as Mac. But first delivery. Plays it down the ground. A couple of runs at least. In fact, a couple of runs times 2. 4 runs from the very first ball faced. Not much flourish in that shot, but very well timed. Stroking it away down the hill. And the ball races away to the boundary. So immediately off the mark here, Mak Qureshi with a 4. And off and running to see whether or not the Florida Hurricanes can overhaul this total. In the meantime, you've seen Amir Shazad. Left arm over the wicket. Generally, you want that ball outside the line of off stump. No slip fielders in position. A relatively defensive field. That's a little bit better in terms of the line and in terms of the length. So pulling the length back just a touch. And then that line outside off stump, that's where you want to be. Field is relatively curious. There's a deep extra cover, and then there's a deep backward square leg. So those two fielders are essentially 180 degrees away from each other. Not exactly sure what the plan is here. Looks to play this off the back foot. Goes again to backward point rather than no run. Fielder at backward point is the great Humayun Bashir. When I played in Austin, he was the captain of my side. Or I should say I played under his expertise. And one of the great all-rounders in the game. Next delivery. Outside edge. I'll tell you what, that's a good stop at backward point or short third. That would have run away down the hill for three more. So they got 1 run. They'll definitely want to have gotten the 3 more that they would have gotten had that ball gotten past that fielder short third. And so credit to that fielder short third for putting in the dive to save his side 3 runs. Never know how much of a difference that can make as you go through this match. 2 balls remaining here in the first over. 5 runs on the board. Very wide, and that's a good take by the wicketkeeper, Syed Shafiq Ali. You saw him with the bat earlier on. And he does well here to restrict the ball from going to the boundary. And I think given where deep third or short third is, that would have gotten all the way to the boundary had that not been stopped. So it's the little things that can make a difference in this game. Let's see how much of a difference that makes. Plays into the offside. A couple of runs here at least. In fact, it's accelerating away down the hill. A long sprint by the fielder running back from backward point. That is Ayaz Sheikh. Couple more runs. Florida is off to a good start here. 8 runs on the board already. Just another 150 needed in the next 115. They're scoring at the rate of 9.6. They need to score at the rate of 7.9. At least when the inning started, the required rate was 7.9 as of right now. It's ticked down just a touch to 7.83. But from the standpoint of the Texas Red Cobras, you just want a couple of good delivers here. Particularly, you want to close out this over without any more damage. Here's the last ball. It didn't go exactly where he was looking to play it. Trickles to that fielder, deep backward square leg. 10 runs, make that 9 runs coming from that first over. End of 1, 9 without loss. Well, mentioned him a couple of minutes ago. My former captain, great all-rounder Humayun Bashir, in his younger days was fearsomely quick. Pretty sure it's safe to say that he was the quickest in our league in Austin in the, let's call it, late 90s, early 2000s. These days, as a 50-plus-year-old, they're not quite as quick, but still very accurate and importantly generates a fair amount of swing. So he'll be looking to swing the ball away from the right-handed batters. I would imagine that you would see deep third come into position. Deep third is on the rope. And there's also a man sweeping on the offside. So it's definitely going to be an off-stump line or just an outside and off-stump line. Don't know necessarily that you'd want to be as aggressive as to have a slip fielder in position, but if you were to put a slip fielder in position, it probably would not be the worst idea that you can have. Here's Humayun. Oh, going down the leg side here. Might have gotten away with that. Ball rushing onto Manav Sharma, and he was not able to get any bat on that. But had there been bat on that, that would have been definitely runs because short, fine leg is inside the circle. So that ball really needs to be outside the line of off stump. Next delivery. That's more the line we were looking for with this field. I think that's a great start and a good delivery. So a couple of dot balls to start here in over number 2. The 9 runs came from the first over, but you see a good start with the ball here for Humayun Bashir. And this team generally has very good bowlers. Definitely has a good spin attack. We can talk about the spin attack later on. Full, driven past the bowler himself. Oh, that could have been stopped. Probably should have been stopped at mid-off. And a bit of fancy footwork. He maybe saves 2 runs there. Because very much could have been the case that you had a couple of extra runs. But you saw a good piece of footwork from that fielder running back after it defeated the inner circle. Good footwork to keep that from going all the way to the boundary. 2 balls, make that 3 balls remaining here in the third over. 11 runs on the board. Plays it back to the bowler, no run. So 3 out of 4 balls in this over have been dot balls. Certainly want to be able to maintain that type of pressure. And scoreboard pressure probably counts for a little bit here. Under the circumstances where you're in a knockout game, any amount of pressure that is built, I think, has a bit of an additive effect because you want the batters to start thinking, well, what if I don't get going here, or tournament is almost finished, and that builds a little bit of pressure. Driven straight again, should just be 1 here. And so with a second over, only going for 3 so far with 1 ball to come, you've, I think, done well enough to allow the pressure to build. 9 runs coming from the first over, but just 3 from the first 5 balls of over number 2. That alone has made the required rate go above 8. 8.04. You'll see that number at the bottom right of your screen. So pay attention to how that number changes because, again, in a knockout scenario, I think that those types of permutations become more and more pronounced because you'll want to see that the bowlers are starting to capitalize on any pressure that they can build. Here's the last ball. Knocked him over. Full and straight. Off stump goes for a walk. First wicket is down. Humayun Bashir strikes. And the Florida Hurricanes are 12 for 1. That is Mac Qureshi, who was late on the shot, really didn't get anywhere near it. And Humayun Bashir does what he's done so many times over his career. Takes a wicket in his first over. That is the end of over number 2. 3 runs coming from it, and the big wicket of Matt Qureshi. The score after 2 is 12 for 1. So 2 overs in the books. After the first over, you might have had a little bit of trepidation if you were a supporter of the Texas Red Cobras, but a very tight over by Humayun Bashir that resulted in that ended with the fall of Matt Qureshi's wicket. And all of a sudden, this chase has a slightly different feel about it. It's going to be Amir Shahzad to continue. Left arm over the wicket. Now bowling to Manav Sharma. The new batter is going to be Awais Mahmood. He's at the non-striker's end. Here is the first delivery. Very wide and running away down the hill. So 3 wides already, and there's not a single legal ball bowled so far. So he's going to have to get that line right here. Amir Shahzad, he sprayed a couple wide already. In the first over, you saw the 4th ball go 4 wides, and now this one goes all the way for 3 wides. In other words, the 1 wide because it was outside the guideline that the umpires rely on, and they ran 2. So that's 3 wides. And needs to get that ball a little closer to off stump. Going around the wicket now. Has played square. At least a couple of runs here too. And a long run by 2 fielders running back in the deep, and that is 2 more runs. So 1 legal delivery bowled and 5 runs. Oh my goodness, to come back for a third, the direct hit. What happens here? No, not out. So a bit of a fumble, and that created the opportunity for the 3rd run. I believe they did run 3 on that. Yes, they did. So 1 legal delivery and 6 runs already scored in this over. So that becomes a bit of a concern. So one end, you have 3 runs conceded and a wicket taken. From the other end, in 7 legal balls, you have 13 runs scored. Here is the next ball. Looks to wave this away on the outside the off stump. Not getting anything on it. So essentially at this stage, and I said 13, I meant 15, because that 9 runs from the first over plus the 6 that you've gotten here, 15 runs in 7 balls from Amir Shahzad. So you're going to want to keep that number down. Around the wicket, that stays low. Honestly, that's going to be a bye, but you can't really blame Syed Shafiq Ali for that one because he was not able to control that ball, no bounce at all in that delivery. And it scooted through, tried the fancy footwork, but not able to prevent it from getting by and going for runs. And I say runs, just 1 run, but in any event, that puts you in the position now where you're going to have to be much more careful. You've leaked a lot of runs from this end. 3 balls remaining here, and it's going to be up to you to tighten things up. I think this around the wicket line is working better for him, though. Played back to the bowler himself, no run. This is better. And I mentioned the fact that he went around the wicket. The first few, he went over the wicket, getting that ball slanting across, which is what you want. But if you can't control the line and you get it spraying too wide outside the line of off stump, that's where you can get in trouble as a left-arm fast bowler. Next delivery now, bowling around the wicket, slanting it into the right-handers. Goes big in the air, running back from extra cover. The fielder cannot get to it. It goes away for 4. An expensive spell continues here for Amir Shazad. 11 runs from the over already with one ball to come. And boy, that alone has pushed the current rate back up to over 8. And that 7.86 at the bottom of your screen is what the required rate is. My sense is that Captain Kuldeep Patel may go to a different option to start over number 5 because not exactly a small score, 157, but it can be overhauled in a hurry if the bowlers are not bowling with discipline. So you get the sense that he'll want a pressure type over to be created out of nowhere, and you'll want that coming from the northern end of the ground. Not quite getting it at the moment with Amir Shazad. And this is tapped into the leg side for a single throw coming to the non-striker's end. Not in time. 12 runs coming from over number 3. An expensive one. Over number 1 went for 9. And the total after 3 overs is 24 for 1. Humayun Bashir back into the attack. Very economical over. First one that ended with the dismissal of Mac Qureshi. Bowling to Owais Mahmood. Driven into the offside, no run. Owais Mahmood has now faced 3 deliveries. Not yet off the mark. And it's not too early to start comparing where the Cobras were when they batted versus where the Florida Hurricanes are. We'll do that after this ball. This one is going to run away down the hill. Let's see whether or not this hit any bat or if it's just going to be a leg by. Yep, there's a leg by signal there from umpire Myron James. So as of the end of over number 3, the score was 24 for 1. At the end of the third over, the Texas Red Cobras had 11 runs on the board. Wrapping him on the pad, gone. Another one for Humayun Bashir, full and straight, and beating him for pace. Absolutely brilliant delivery. And he got that bat down entirely too late. Awais Mahmood. Humayun Bashir with that delivery that, again, just beating him for pace and just wrapping him on the pad. And umpire Myron James, even before raising the finger, was already nodding his head yes. And a good delivery. Humayun Bashir making up for the sins of Amir Shazad at the opposite end. He is 3 deliveries into his second over, and he's already taken 2 wickets, figures of 2 for 4, doing it with the ball as he has so often over the years. And Florida Hurricanes are 26 for 2, 25 for 2. Well, Humayun Bashir is the leading bowler for the Texas franchise, the Red Cobras. 4 matches, 11 overs, 94 runs conceded, and 4 wickets taken. So his average is 23.5. Best bowling of 2 for 46, even though that sounds much higher than you'd expect from him. That didn't go exactly where he was looking to play it, the new batter, Samir Sadiq. But I think that you've seen information here from umpire Myron James to indicate that this was a leg by. Good umpiring, because you see him conferring with his partner Owen Brown to ask whether or not any bat was involved, and was sufficiently convinced from the answer from his partner that there was no bat involved. So that is a leg by. Oh, what happened here? Look for a big drive and a miss. Not able to get anything on it. 2 runs already from this over. 1 off the bat and 1 leg by. But this is brilliant stuff from Humayun Bashir. Last ball coming up. 2 for 4 his figures. And let's see what happens from this last ball. But he's done really well. And I would expect, given his proclivities, something full and straight here. Not exactly full, but played into the leg side. They'll get a single, but consecutive overs from Humayun Bashir that only yield 3 runs and a wicket taken. So you definitely have done your best to keep yourself in the game here. And at the end of over number 4, the score is 26. 20. So they did not take a single. My apologies. So the score is at the end of 4, 26 for 2. So the 2 overs bowled by Amir Shahzad cost 9 and 12 respectively. And so, as I suspected, Captain Kuldeep Patel has made a change and he's gone to Kashif Rana. Kashif Rana is a right-handed off-spinner, and he will be tasked with pulling things back, or at least with matching Humayun Bashir in terms of pressure being built. You certainly have not built any pressure from this end. And to the extent that it is always to your advantage to keep the batters feeling that pressure, any opportunity that you can have to apply pressure, or at least to remove bowlers from the attack that are not sufficiently applying that pressure, then you certainly as a captain want to do that. And that's exactly what Captain Kuldeep Patel has done. So the first wicket, of course, fell at 12. Second wicket fell at 25. So essentially, you're taking a wicket every 12 balls for the most part. And I think that you will see that they're going to want to continue building that type of pressure. To whatever extent you can maintain it is the question. But for the most part, with 26 runs on the board, going to your off spinner does carry some element of risk. But I think you want to make sure that you make the batters work for what they can get. Oh, struck on the pad. Loud appeal. Gone. Very first delivery. Full and straight. He played absolutely across the line here, Sami Sadiq. And he's looking to play this to square leg Keeping it in the V would have been the better option. Umpire Owen Brown, I think, just sufficiently convinced that that was smashing into probably middle and leg. And once again, the Florida Hurricanes lose a wicket. So they've lost 3 wickets inside the power play. If you wanted to construct a formula for winning a match, losing 3 wickets inside the power play would not be one of the ways or one of the elements of doing that, because it keeps you on the back foot. It puts you in a position where you can't exactly take advantage of the field being brought in, and under these circumstances, you're well and truly on the back foot. And what that does mean is that with the new batter coming in, Aparsamy Balaji, you're going to find yourself in some trouble here, and you may start falling behind the required rate, which is now 8.34. Your actual rate is 6.24. That's not necessarily bad. 3 wickets having been lost, though, is something that you'd certainly be concerned about. And let's see exactly how close you can come to pulling things back out of the fire, because right now you're in danger of falling too far behind this match for it to be a competitive one. So, new batter at the wicket, Aparsamy Balaji. Play it into that short extra cover position. He gets off the mark immediately with a single. But boy, I do have to tell you that things have not gone the way that they've been scripted. If you're looking to chase 158, which is what the target was, you want to get off to a fast start, maybe score about 40, 45 or so in the power play. Worked around the corner. How lucky is he that goes directly to short fine leg? Had that been 1 yard to either side of that fielder at short fine leg, it's probably 4 runs, but he picks him out exactly. And so Kashivrana can consider himself lucky there. Off the back foot, they'll get a single. There's a sweeper in the deep. Not going to bother anything, just gets it back in. My sense from here is that really for the Red Cobras, you can concede singles and not have it be much of a concern. Here's the next delivery. Slower through the air. What happens here? That's going to be oh no, it's wide. My apologies, I missed that live. Wide signal by umpire Owen Brown. And so 2 balls still remaining in over number 5. Here's Kashifrana again. Off the back foot. Quick single. Fielder at backward point. Humayun Bashir picking up and attempting to throw to the keeper's end, but not exactly able to hold on to that ball. 4 runs from the over already. How do you close this over out here if you're Kashifrana? Here's that last ball. Driven in the offside and runs away for 4. That is a top shot. Racing across the carpet. Good looking stroke. 8 runs come from the over and a wicket. So the first delivery takes a wicket, but the other 7, the other 5 go for 8 runs. So not quite something that you'll be happy with here, Kashifrana. However, on balance, you're in a good position. End of over number 5. The score is 34 for 3. Humayun Bashir to continue. Continuing along his merry way, bowling dot balls, bowling balls that are difficult to score off of. And importantly, for the Texas Red Cobras, has already taken 2 wickets. So you're getting it from that end from your strike bowler, Humayun Bashir. Economy rate of 1.8. Next ball is played down to short mid-on. Get a single here. So you've gotten it from your strike bowler so far. The other end, the northern end of the ground, is a concern. So the 3 overs from that end have gone for 9, 12, and 8. So 29 runs out of 35 have come from the bowlers bowling from the northern end of the ground. Everything else, obviously, from the southern end, but one of those numbers being significantly larger than the other tells you that, number one, Humayun Bashir is bowling well. A stroke down the ground, in fact, stroke to mid-off, no run. And then it also tells you that the bowlers from the northern end need to sort of maintain the discipline that they know. And you don't necessarily want to be in the position where you're relying on one bowler to restrict the opposition from scoring. Short mid-off. Oh, not a clean pickup, but I think there's probably a single there anyway. That's the captain, Kuldeep Patel. And when does he bring himself on? In fact, when does he bring any spinners on? He, these days, is an off spinner. When we played against each other a couple of decades ago, he was a very good pace bowler. There's also Zubair Hussain, who, again, is a former teammate of mine, who is an excellent spinner, a wily spinner. So you have different options, and we'll see exactly how well you do here. Slow through the air. Wants a run out. Oh, a direct hit there. He's gone. Clean pickup by Humayun Bashir, but he misses the shot at the stumps. And maybe Apar Sami Balaji too eager to get his score going and not able to put the pedal to the metal the way he wanted to, and almost got himself run out. But there's just one ball remaining here. Humayun Bashir now 2 for 6 from 2.5. Next ball played into the short cover. They fumble almost. You never hear, or you always hear, never run on a misfield. But that time it only cost him 3 runs. So 3 overs from Humayun Bashir have only cost 7 runs. Excellent stuff from the strike bowler of the team. End of over number 6. That's the end of the power play. Score is 37 for 3. Veterans Cricket USA T20 Franchise Tournament is what you're watching. End of the power play. And this is an eliminator match where the Florida Hurricanes are looking to stave off elimination, looking to somehow maintain their composure in a game that they seem to be in trouble of losing. They've lost 3 wickets. Losing 3 wickets inside the power play is not a good way to go. But this pair appears to be attempting to weather the storm. You don't mind seeing that. And this is played into the offside. Quick single taken. So wickets falling at 12, 25, and 26. And so the current partnership is worth 11. This is now a missed the change when it happened. Janisar Khan is your bowler. Kashif Rana bowled over number 5. Now Janisar Khan, who will dig into his bag of tricks. played back to the bowler himself, no run. I mentioned his bag of tricks. Very skilled at changes of pace, subtle changes of pace, and doing what he can to keep the batters off balance. He can sometimes be difficult to time because one delivery will come through at 75 miles an hour, the other will come through at 45 miles an hour, and it becomes really difficult to find the timing that you'd require to put him away. So that is the advantage that he has, and let's see whether or not he's going to be able to maintain that. So let's see what he does here off the short run. Quicker delivery this time, played it into the extra cover area. That's just a single. So 3 deliveries into over number 7. The change has worked out so far. Again, the majority of the runs that have been scored in this match, or in this innings rather, have come from the northern end of the ground, and that's why you go with Janisar Khan to make sure that he can prevent these runs from being scored. But all is not done yet. Good start to the over, 4 balls and 2 runs scored, but it's going to be up to him to close this out properly. You don't in any way want this to be a continuation of the trend that sees all the runs being scored from this end. Wave and a miss here. Again, was the quicker delivery from Janisar Khan. 2 runs already from the over. Can he close out an over with just 2 runs? Can you somehow maneuver a way to get a dot ball here? A dot ball would be more than helpful. Would certainly put you in the position where you feel like you're having a stranglehold on the match. And as you look at the bottom right corner, the required rate now above 9. This is played into the offside, a single. But that is an excellent over. Easily the best over of the day, bowled from, of the innings rather, bowled from the northern end of the ground. 3 runs coming from it, 28 from the last 5, so they're scoring at just under a rate of 5.6 over that time. And the score after 7 is 40 for 3. Forty for 3 is your score after 7. Change in bowling here. It's going to be Farhan Ahmed and Humayun Bashir with an excellent spell, and has now retreated to the safety of the sideline. One of the better fielders in the side as well. Good safe pair of hands, so you don't mind seeing him back on the ropes at long on. You get the sense now that pressure is starting to be built because you're now out of the power play. The field is spread out, and you're still having trouble scoring in 7 overs. The scoring rate is only 5.71. The required rate now up to 9.08. So you're going to want to keep watching that number. And Farhan Ahmed is going to be tasked with recreating or channeling his inner Humayun Bashir. See how well he does here. Off spinner. Plays it back to the bowler, no run. Good start. Bang on target. That, again, from this end, if you are hitting it in the air, you're hitting it into the wind. So that's something to pay attention to as you see the flag toward the left of your screen starting to move a little bit. In other words, the wind is picking up a bit more from the south. A couple of dots to start here, though. And the dot balls under these circumstances make such a difference. And it helps you sort of understand where you are to know whether or not you're able to stave off a lot of dot balls. That is yet another dot. Really good stuff here from Farhan Ahmed. 3 consecutive dots. And do you now put yourself in the position where you try to do something extra? Do you try to run down the track? Do you try to do something that allows the bowler's rhythm to be off? In the air, it's going to go down wide of the fielder, sweeping on the offside, a pressure release shot. It is wide and short and put away for 4. So Farhan Ahmed getting that one entirely too wide, wanting to make sure that he gets the ball in the right areas. You don't necessarily mind the length as such, even though I want that length to be fuller, but you certainly can't bowl that line with the sweeper in the deep much more straight than that ball going in the direction that it went would suggest. And 2 balls remaining here now in over number 8. Not quite able to channel his inner Humayun Bashir. Really interesting stat here, and I'll get into it after this ball. Slow through the air, slapped away, but that is the length that you'd want to bowl if you have the field set that you do. So it's played away into the offside, but certainly the fact that it was not short meant that it had to be played in front of square, and so you have the field set for that exactly. Now at the end of over number 8, when the Texas Red Cobras batted, they had 46 runs. Right now the Florida Hurricanes have 45 runs. Off the back foot, no run there. So you could argue that on balance at the end of the over, 5 runs coming from it, and the score is 45 for 3, that the Florida Hurricanes are just a touch behind the pace that was set by the Texas Red Cobras. See how well they do here the rest of the way. Another 72 balls remaining. 8 overs gone. And the score is 45 for 3. Janissar Khan's won. I'll make that 2 overs so far. Bowled overs 7 and 9. And his overs have gone for... Actually, no. My apologies. Bowled over 7. This is over number 9. This is the second over that he's bowling. First over went only for 3. And starts out here with a dot. So... once again, you can argue that your best bet to win this is to keep having these bowlers do exactly what they're doing. Oh, that gets through Humayun Bashir, and they'll end up getting another run, a bonus run, if you will. So you certainly don't want to give up that additional run, but an important element is putting pressure on the batting side, and if you sprint toward the ball, you can sometimes make them hesitate about going for that second run. That's going to be wide. Janissar Khan can't get away with that one. Umpire Owen Brown indicating that he'll need to re-bowl it. So over 7 that Janissar Khan bowled only went for 3 runs. He's going to have to recreate the magic here, as I said. Good piece of work. Look at that. Oh, underhanded throw, and he got him. Absolutely brilliant. Played back to the ball, and not a clean piece of fielding. But as I said a couple of times, you don't ever want to run on a misfield, and that's exactly what happened here. Misfield goes to Janissar Khan, and he underhands a throw at the non-striker's end. And that is the end of Manav Sharma. He's not going to want to see that. Actually, I'm sorry, it's the end of Apar Sami Balaji. He's not going to want to see that. And that wicket falls. Partnership is broken. And the score is 49 for 4. So the new batter is in. It's going to be Samsul Huda. Janisar Khan to continue. And he's bowling a really good spell here. And 1.3 overs, none for 7. Here's the first ball to the new. In fact, this is going to be to Manav Sharma. Played into the offside for a single. Now this will be the first ball to the new batter. So just to confirm, the reason why this is going to be a tricky chase is because you've already lost 4 wickets. Having lost 4 wickets inside, well, you lost 3 inside the power play, and then the 4th in relatively uncommon fashion. You don't ever want to run on the misfield, and the misfield is what got to the Florida Hurricanes that time. The last 3 balls coming up make that the last 2 balls coming up in the over. By the way, the 50 is up. I don't know that necessarily that makes you feel a lot better as a Florida Hurricane supporter, because you're only 32% of the way toward the target of 158. And you're running out of deliveries. 68 runs on 68 balls remaining. Great ball. Goes past the outside edge. And so in 67 balls, you need another 108 runs. That feels very much like, at minimum, it's tricky. And I've said it a couple times this weekend. If I have a win predictor, my win predictor is certainly in the direction right now of the Texas Red Cobras. Played into the offside. Ooh, good fancy footwork there for the captain, Kuldeep Patel. Can't prevent the single, but certainly prevents a lot more than that. 6 runs coming from that over. At the end of over number 9, the score is 51 for 4. $51 for 4 is your score after 9. 107 more runs needed in 66 balls. The required rate, again, keep tracking that at the bottom of your screen. It is 973. Your actual rate is 5.67. And the left-handed Samsul Huda is on strike. Floated up there, stroked down the ground, and a lot of work in the deep. Fancy footwork once again. He'll save 2 runs, and that really is good work because, again, just the psychological benefit that you get from denying a boundary to a batter, especially a batter who's just recently come in, that cannot be overstated. So he's bowling now around the wicket to the left-handed batter, Farhan Ahmed. Wanting to keep that ball not quite as full as the previous delivery was. Very full, but also very wide. So, don't know that that's one you want to have happen at this stage. I think you want to be more along the lines of being able to get the ball in the right areas. Tossed up, looks for the big drive and misses, goes past the outside edge, good delivery. And at the current spot, at the end of over number 8, there were 51 runs on the board. When the Texas Red Cobras batted, They had 59 runs at that same stage. So they've certainly fallen behind the pace set by the Texas Cobras here the last several overs. See how wide that is to re-bowl. Now this one played into the backward point area for a single. So, boy, you don't want to get yourself in the position of getting bogged down, but somehow you do sort of have to get yourself extricated from the mindset that all that you need to do is hit the ball to the boundary, because you are not getting a lot of boundary balls, and scoring at the rate of 9.71 and over is not going to be easy, but it really does mean that you need to essentially hustle between the wickets, and to the extent that you can do that, then you can start putting pressure on the bowling side. But here's the next delivery. Played into the deep extra cover area. Coming back for the second. So I think that you'll see a lot of activity in these last couple of overs. So 58 runs on the board. Exactly 100 needed from 62 balls, and the required rate at 9.68 suggests that you're going to see something happen the rest of the way. Something has to give. So either you catch fire with the bat and start making progress toward knocking off the remaining runs, or the Texas Red Cobras catch fire with the ball. But you get the sense that one of them will happen, and that is the simplest of catches, taken in the backward point area, forcing it off the back foot Manav Sharma, but directly to backward point. And that is wicket number 5, falling on the stroke of the last over before the break. And I believe that they'll be walking off for a break here. So let's take a break with them. With one ball remaining here in over number 10, the score is 58 for 5. So the new batter is in. Shamsul Huda is at the non-striker's end. And the new batter is going to be Amir Kiani. This is the last ball of over number 10 that is about to be bowled. Let's see exactly how we do from here. A little bit of a delay while Humayun Bashir, who certainly was the primary reason why the Florida Hurricanes were on the back foot, regains his place at long on. But he's now ready, and here is the last ball of over number 10. Pushes it through, wraps him on the pad, didn't appeal. Started to turn around and appeal, but I think rightfully realized that that was not going to be threatening the stump. 7 runs come from the over, but the big wicket of Manav Sharma, and that is the end of 10. The score is 58 for 5. Change in bowling. Coming from the northern end, you saw Janisar Khan with 2 overs. And it is now going to be a new bowler, Madhu Chitiala. Many spin options that have not yet been called upon. This is going to be 2 runs as it's played into the offside. Oh, relatively quickly, they immediately realize that they need protection in the deep, but they also need somebody in the short mid-wicket area to prevent those twos from happening, because on the leg side, there was absolutely nobody inside the circle on the leg side, and they've just now moved and fielded in that spot. That's actually Ayaz Sheikh in that area. And now I think that looks like a better field. In the meantime, Madhu Chitiala continuing down the leg side. That's going to be wide. That's not necessarily going to help matters any. So 2 runs from the very first ball, and then the very next delivery is one sprayed down the leg side. So you want to maintain your disciplines here. The current run rate is exactly a run a ball. 61 balls bowled, 61 runs scored. The required rate is 9.86, so you're in the clear there if you're the Red Cobras, but you can't start forgetting your disciplines. That's played into the short mid-off area, wide short mid-off, and the mid-off fielder coming off the rope. Make that the long-off fielder coming off the ropes to make sure that that remains 1. Keep comparing where each side was. At the end of over number 10, the Texas Red Cobras had 71 runs. And then this is where they exploded in the first innings. As of right now, at the end of 10, the Florida Hurricanes had 58. So they've fallen behind significantly. Looking for the big hit there. Checks the shot eventually, and they'll get a single into the short cover area. So they've turned the scoreboard over. You want to keep scoring, which is what has been happening. You don't mind seeing that happen, but you do not want to put yourself in a position where you lose any more wickets if you are the Florida Hurricanes, because last 3 balls coming up here, this pair needs to be able to bat long. Short mid-wicket, run-out opportunity here. Oh, had that been a direct hit, or had that been directly into the hand of the bowler to be able to disturb the wickets, that would have been another run-out. Maybe just some evidence that the pressure is starting to build. And that required rate now up over 10.18. So that's where the pressure is coming from. You absolutely need to figure out a way to score runs here. Play it into a short cover area. Another run out opportunity. A direct hit there would have had him. He would have been gone. But they steal a run. Maybe you have to start taking chances now, because 5 wickets down, so you don't have a lot of batting to come. And that required rate is always going up. Every time you get a single, the required rate goes up. Every time you get a dot ball, the required rate goes up. And so you're now starting to get into a little bit of trouble. So let's see whether the Florida Hurricanes can manage the storm, no pun intended, and get themselves out of it. Goes past the outside edge, no run there, and that is a big dot ball, because that means that the required rate now up to 10.44. End of over number 11, the score is 64 for 5. Well, I alluded to it a couple of times. There's a very heavy spin attack that has not been used. But now Kuldeep Patel, the captain, has changed that equation as he's brought himself on. Excuse me. First ball fired down the leg side for a wide, but this next one is a single into the outfield. Not a bad idea to bring your off spinner on one of your several off spinners. With the left-handed Huda Shamsul at the crease. And Amir Kiani is batter number 1. Batter number 2 is Shamsul Huda, or Huda Shamsul. And you really do have to start thinking about how you're going to manufacture runs from here. You've run out of a lot of options. Several wickets have been lost, 5 in all. And then this is now a dot ball. So you've essentially lost the opportunity to get as many runs as you'd like, but now you need to find the way to press on. This is hit down the ground. That is a big strike into the wind for 6. So Americiani has essentially decided to take the bull by the horns. And that is a good strike down the ground. You like the off-spinner bowling to the left-hander. Not quite as much when he's bowling to the right-hander. That ball, of course, turning into him as an off-spinner. And appeal for an LBW and gone. Oh, my goodness. What a comeback ball. Well, it was turning into him, all right. And in the opinion of umpire Myron James, was turning in, missing the pad, missing the bat, and hitting leg stump. So wicket number 6 goes down. That is a big one. What a comeback delivery from the captain himself. Because that ball slanting in and cutting in off the pitch, as you'd expect with an off spinner, and right in front. In the opinion of umpire Myron James, that is absolutely drilling into leg stump. So that is wicket number 6. That goes down. 72 for 6 is the score, and you are now probably thinking in terms of, my goodness, can we at least put together a couple of overs where we don't lose any more wickets before we start launching toward the back end? But that is going to become increasingly difficult because at the moment, with 72 runs on the board and that partnership having been worth 23, having lost that partnership, you've gotten yourself into position now where essentially it's just the bowlers left. 6 wickets down, 6 top order wickets down. The new batter is going to be Morshed Kalam. Amir Kian has been dismissed. Beautiful 6 right down the ground, but dismissed the very next ball. And still have the right hand, left hand combination, but boy, you need to start doing something here to get as many runs as you can. Kuldeep Patel played off the back foot. Run taken here. That single I don't think is going to bother them very much. Alluded to it a couple of times. Every time that you're chasing, when you get a single, the single makes the required rate go up, assuming the required rate is above 10. I'm sorry, above 6. And it is at this stage above 10, 10.41. So certainly it's going to put you in the position of getting closer and closer to losing the game the more singles you get. In other words, you need at some point to start hitting big. Last ball. Can the left-hander hit the off spinner, bowling over the wicket, slanting the ball across him? Oh, wrapping him on the pad, but I don't think there's any way that would be given. I think that's comfortably pitching outside the line of leg stump, but a good over from the captain. 9 runs came from it, courtesy of 1 big 6, a couple of singles and a wide, but he takes the big wicket of Manav Sharma, and that is the end of the over. 73 for 6 is your score after 12. Going back to Madhu Chitiala, 1 over in the books already. Bowled over number 11. That over went for 6. And he'll look to continue applying that pressure as slowly but surely the Florida Hurricanes essentially are playing themselves out of this game. Zip through past the outside edge. A dot ball. So after 12 overs, The Texas Red Cobras had 94 runs on the board. After 12 overs, the Florida Hurricanes are only looking at 73. So you're 21 runs behind by that measure. And so that certainly puts you in the position of being in much more trouble. And then you certainly have lost several more wickets. The entirety of the innings for the Texas Red Cobras, they only lost 3 wickets, but already 6 wickets down here for the Florida Hurricanes. Good shot played off the back foot. Oh, that should have been stopped, but it was not. Humayun Bashir cleaning up from deep point. Look at that throw, still throwing like he's a 30-year-old man. Good strong throw to the keeper's end from down on the boundary. Now, with the current situation, you're looking at really a very varied bowling attack. You still have 1 over from Humayun Bashir. You still have 2 from Amir Shahzad. Those are you 2 opening pace bowlers. And then several off spinners who have not yet been used. So this is played into the leg side. They may look for 2, and they're coming back. It's going to be close. And probably a better throw from the deep might have had him. But they do come back for the second run. So looking at where you are now, down to the last 3 balls in over number 13, but you're struggling. You're not halfway there yet in terms of the number of runs that you need. But you're certainly well ahead of the pace if you are the Red Cobras. And is that a catch? Yes, it's a catch. Gone from the outside edge. The slow finger going up by Owen Brown. Immediately celebrating was Syed Shafiq Ali. And that is wicket number 7. 7 for 77 is your score. A lot of unlucky 7s on the board for the Florida Hurricanes. And now it may just be that the only intrigue left in this game is whether or not the Hurricanes will bat out the remaining 20 overs. Because as of this stage, they're absolutely going to be struggling to do just that. Required rate now up over 11. And where you are now, you're going to really just have trouble putting together any sort of charge toward the back end of this match. So let's see how close they can get, but well and truly in control of the Texas Red Cobras. So the last 3 wickets still need another 81 runs. So you're not even at the halfway stage there. And only 3 wickets in hand, and then certainly only 44 balls left. So all signs pointing in the wrong direction for the Florida Hurricanes and the Texas Red Cobras with a stranglehold on this match. As of right now, essentially, it feels like only one team is going to win this. And let's see exactly how close they can get. 77 for 7, 12.4. It is going to be Madhu Chityala continuing to the new batter. Naveed Ahmed played off the back foot, and it's running away into deep point. Do they want 2? They do want 2, and they'll get it without much fuss. Good piece of batsmanship. Just leaning back on the back foot and just guiding that behind point. It's a good piece of batting. I don't know necessarily that it makes a big difference in this game, but maybe you store that in the memory banks to make sure that he's able to maybe bat a little bit higher up the order, because that shot alone, to me, shows evidence of quality with the bat. Last ball here, over number 13. Similar shot, similar result. I don't think they'll go for 2, though. This one getting to Humayun Bashir a lot more quickly. And that nice strong throw directly to the keeper is the result. So 7 runs come from over number 13 and a wicket. Not quite. In fact, they've just gotten past the halfway point in terms of the runs that they need, but they've lost 7 wickets. Florida Hurricanes are 80 for 7. Kuldeep Patel to continue. 1 over in the books. He's taking a wicket. Oh, going for the big drive. Gets an under edge. He may get 2 runs here. And in fact, the throw coming in now to the keeper's end. And they do get 2. So your batters are Huda Shamsul or Shamsul Huda and Naveed Ahmed. It was Naveed Ahmed on strike now. Shamsul Huda has been there for a while. He has 11 from 12. And is it all on him the rest of the way? Played off the back foot to short third. They'll get a single there. No trouble there. Singles in no way will concern you if you are the Texas Red Cobras. The required rate now up to 11.25. So my sense is that where you are now, you're going to be putting yourself in a tricky position. And in fact, I may need to confirm one of the scores here that we have. This is played down the ground. They'll get a single. Okay, so I see exactly what we did there. So current score is 85. Missed a run there along the way. Required rate rather, is 11.23. Lovely shot inside out, but 1 bounce to the sweeper on the offside. And it's a really, really good looking shot that deserved more than 1 run, but the field is set exactly for that type of shot. 72 needed in the next 38 balls, so it's almost getting to the point where it is pointless to continue referring to the required score. Right arm over the wicket to the lefty, looking to sweep, and that's a very fine shot. It's going to run away for 4. I said very fine, and I mean that both ways. Number 1, fine, meaning that it was too much behind the wicket for the fielder at fine leg to get to it. And then fine in the more traditional sense of the word, where that really was an elegant-looking shot. Running away for 4. From that angle, Kuldeep Patel would probably want to be more outside the line of off stump, because anything too straight does not threaten the stumps necessarily in any way, and then you can't get an LBW from that line given that it's pitching outside the line of off. So he wants to find more of an off stump line. Coming in off the rope is the fielder, deep square leg. Good hustle, good effort. And that is a single that closes things out in over number 14. 10 runs coming from it. At the end of 14, the score is 91 for 7. Last 6 overs coming up, if we need that many. Madhu Chitiala bowled 2 overs already. His figures are 1 for 14. About to bowl over number 15, and to the extent that the intrigue is slowly slipping out of this game, you can probably start seeing this match as being more of a dress rehearsal, at least the rest of this match, as a dress rehearsal for the matches at the real business end of the tournament tomorrow. I, unfortunately, am not going to be with you tomorrow for the 3rd place match and the final. duty calls back at home in Austin, but it's been an absolute pleasure being here for the last couple of days. And let's see what happens the rest of the way here. Played down the ground, and Shamsul Huda still at the wicket, still essentially feels like he's fighting a lone battle. But one run to the good here for him. 13. In fact, that scorecard may not exactly be right because Shamsul Huda is the one who just faced that first ball. Says that he's now on strike, but that's not accurate. But anyway, big picture, the score is 92 for 7. Great delivery, full and straight. Run out opportunity here. Oh, Shamsul Huda had given up. He was not even in the shot when that ball crossed perilously close to the stumps. That shy at the stumps from Kuldeep Patel had that hit, and he would have been a dead duck, as they say. So, in fact, after this ball, we should probably check on what is going on in the opposite game, as we talked about earlier. San Francisco and New Jersey are playing, and that is an absolute barn burner of a match. Oh, spray this one. No, I thought that went down the leg side, but no. It apparently clipped something on the way through, and umpire Owen Brown sufficiently convinced that nothing negative happened there. So it's just a dot. San Francisco Blasters in 20 overs scored 136 for 9. That is a good effort for the Black Caps of New Jersey to pull them back. But in reply, the New Jersey Black Caps themselves are absolutely struggling. They're 53 for 7. They need 84 runs in the next 5 overs, needing to score at the rate of almost 17 an over. And so it does not look like it's going to happen. So the Blasters essentially are going to be through. And it also appears that the Texas Red Cobras are also going to be through. So I would think that those two are going to be your finalists tomorrow. Struck in the air just to the left. Make that the right of the fielder right there. In the covers. Not able to get a single for it, though. So let's see exactly how you can go from here. Couple of singles and then one ball remaining here in this over. And I will tell you, from 3 runs having been scored in this over, when you're looking upwards of more than 12 and over, this is really good bowling. That is in the air. That may be, no, it's in cut off by the fielder running across from deep extra cover. And they just get 1 run. 4 runs coming from over number 15. That is a brilliant over bowled here by Amadou Chitiala. At the end of 15, the score is 95 for 7. So the last 5 overs coming up, last 30 balls. In theory, that's all we have left. But as I said a couple of minutes ago, it may be that you don't need all of those overs because this is going to be a very difficult uphill chase for the Florida Hurricanes, and they may decide to throw caution to the wind and start going after these runs, and one thing can happen one way or the other under those circumstances. But we'll see exactly how this turns out the rest of the way. So Janice Arcana is back, lofted in the air. It's going to be landing safely, is it? Yes, it does land safely. That's a good looking shot. And it's a shot that evidences intent. They'll get a couple of runs, but more than anything else, the intent is what matters at this stage, because even though you're essentially about to lose this match, you do want to make sure that you can at least hold your head high and show that you can go out with your guns blazing. Lovely shot through extra cover for 4. That is a brilliant strike, and it races across the carpet. So 4 more here for Naveed Ahmed. That scorecard says the Shamsul Huda, and it's not. But either way, that's 6 runs from the first 2 balls of this over. And whatever you can do to make sure that this is cleaned up and that you, at least at minimum, go out with all guns blazing, that's certainly something that you want to be able to do. So let's see in what way you can control things here. Next delivery, Janisar Khan looks for the cut, not able to get any bat on it. So that's a dot ball, an important dot ball, halfway through over number 16. And you're still looking upwards at about another, not about, you're looking at exactly 57 runs still from the next 27 balls. Required rate up to 2. My goodness, look at that. Looking to go big and swiping across the line. Loses his leg stump. Wicket number 8 is down. Janisar Khan strikes. You've seen Janisar Khan bowl 2 economical overs, and in this, his 3rd over, he has taken a wicket. That is wicket number 8. The Florida Hurricanes only 2 wickets away from defeat here in this elimination match. The score is now 101 for 8. So you're now down to the last 2 wickets. Janisar Khan doing what you expect him to do. Keep it full, keep it straight. And he's knocked back the wickets or the stumps of Naveed Ahmed. A new batter now is in. It's going to be, I believe, the captain. No, in fact, we'll get the name of the new batter shortly. But in any event, I believe that's actually Junaid Ahmed, who's now at the crease. And he defends his first ball into the offside, no run. My goodness. Again, one other of these matches where the intrigue is essentially taken out of the equation. And given that the intrigue is out of the equation, that last ball here is relatively inconsequential. So 2 dots to close things out in over number 16. At the end of 16, the score is 101 for 8. So 101 for 8, 57 runs needed for the Florida Hurricanes, 2 wickets needed for the Texas Red Cobras. And they've gone back now to Madu. It's whipped into the air. Oh, put down. Very straightforward chance. Janissar Khan has not done very much wrong today, but that's one that he easily would have taken ordinarily. And so that could have been the ninth wicket, but it ends up being a dot. Ends up being a single, because under any circumstances, Janissar Khan would have eaten that one alive, but he puts it down, and Shamsul Huda lives to fight another day. 22 from 22. Junaid Ahmed is your new batter. And it's going to be Madhu Chitiala to continue. Oh, look at this. Cuts him in half almost. And in fact, they wanted to go through for a run, but never really realistically on, I don't think. So, down now to the last 22 balls. If you had a win predictor, even though 102 runs have just crossed the 100-run mark, if you had a win predictor, that win predictor would be squarely in the direction of the Texas Cobras, Red Cobras. Oh, look at this. He took a shot at the stumps, had all three to aim at. He was only 5 yards away, but he ends up missing. And a wry smile on his face there from Madhu Chitiala. And he ends up conceding another run anyway. So sometimes you can hit directly from square 30 yards away, and sometimes you're 5 yards away looking directly at the stumps and end up missing. And the latter is what happened that time. Last three balls coming up here in his spell. Madhu Chitiala has bowled very well. Down the ground, catchable, and taken. Never going to drop that. I believe that is Zubair Hussain. I don't think he typically drops very many, and he takes that one without much fuss. When we were teammates in the air, I would always estimate and always say, actually, on the field, tell the batter to start walking if the ball is in the air towards Zubair Hussain, because he doesn't put very many down. And that now is wicket number 9. As I said a couple of minutes ago, probably the only intrigue is whether or not this match will last all 20 overs. At this rate, it appears that it may not. Last man coming in, and it's going to be the captain himself, Rizwan Mohammed. So just one wicket remaining. Do we need another 20 balls to face one wicket? I don't know that we do, but time will tell. Coming in now, Rizwan Mohammed making that long, arduous walk, taking his own sweet time. It looks like, I don't know, that maybe the umpires just don't give him out, timed out, and send everybody home. That would not be the worst thing in the world to happen. Anyway, so last wicket, or the last pair is in. And with this pair, Rizwan Mohammed has not faced. Junaid Ahmed has faced 4 deliveries and scored 1 run. And as of now, it's just only a matter of what is going to happen first. 20 deliveries or 1 wicket. Goes past the outside edge. That is a good looking ball. And Rizwan Mohammed looking for the drive to the offside, not getting anything on it. This is going to be the last ball in any event for the day for Madhu Chitiala, because his spell is done after this. Here is that last ball. Full and straight. Played to short mid-wicket. He'll get a single. He gets off the mark. And that is the end of a good spell for Madhu Chitiala. 4 overs, 2 for 21. Excellent bowling for him. And that is the end of over number 17. The score is 104 for 9. So, last 3 overs, in theory, this is going to be a new bowler. And given that I have no number 10 on my sheet, we'll wait to see exactly who this is. But that was a very wide delivery, whoever it is. Sipple is the name. I'm not sure who Sipple is. But anyway, let's go ahead and assume it is, I don't know, maybe Swapnil Agrawal. We'll guess that that's the case. In any event, Sipple, who is your new bowler, has bowled one legal delivery now. It's a dot. Certainly started out with a wide. Next delivery coming up here. Played into the offside. They'll get a single. Good strong throw from that backward point area. That is Hussein Zubair. And going now into the last 4 deliveries of over number 18. And this is now dragging on a little bit longer than you'd probably want for it to. Full toss. Played right back to the bowler. Could have taken a return catch and sent us all home. But he does not take that catch. And it's another single down the ground. Last 3 coming up. 107 for 9 is your score. Sipple P is what it shows on the scorecard. Let's just stipulate that we have no idea who Sipple P is. And for the time being, just assume that he's a member of the squad. That's all we can go with. In the air, that's going toward extra cover, at least a couple of runs. This is going to be the captain himself, Kuldeep Patel. No, in fact, they only take 1 run. Interesting. Thought that they would have taken 2 there. They certainly could have had the time to take 2, but 108 for 9 is your score. 2 balls remaining. Short. Oh, what happened here? Undercut or under edge running down toward deep third. Deep fine third, if you will. And they'll get 2. I believe they ran 2. And in the meantime, this should be the last ball coming up of over number 18. In fact, those are 2 byes. There were no edges on that. So there was no edge. 2 byes. And now this is going to be in the air. It's going to land short of Humayun Bashir coming off the rope at long on. And so a bit of an eventful over for Sipple. 5 runs, 5 runs eventually come from it. In other words, 5 runs attributed to the bowler himself and then 2 byes. So 7 runs total. That is the end of over number 18. A maximum of 12 balls remaining. The score is 111 for 9. Okay, call his name earlier. This is Hussein Zubair. Once again, another former teammate and one of the safest pairs of hands and a wily off spinner. And this really is taking on the feel of a net session. A couple of overs ago, I said it felt like practice for the next match. Right now, it literally feels like a bunch of guys getting ready for a net session. Wave and a miss here. A couple of dots. And eventually, when the next wicket falls or the next 10 balls are bowled, this match will be finished. And it will be the Texas Red Cobras who will go on to, I believe, face San Francisco in the finals. Now, 9 balls remaining. You're really at this point trying to guess which is going to happen first. In theory, you would have wanted for the match to have been over several deliveries ago, but at this stage, it looks like it's going to go on all the way to the end as we have a wide spread down the leg side. Still 3 balls to go. And Zubair Hussain just number 1, a tremendous cricketer. Number 2, a tremendous person. Number 3, the father of 2 brilliant young cricketers themselves. Basit Zubair, who these days is, oh my goodness, in his 30s. And then Majid Zubair, who is in his middle 20s. And I've known both of those young men from the time that they were a teenager and an infant, both. So let's just say we go back a long way. This is played to square leg, a single. And 2 balls remaining now in over number 19. 8 balls remaining maximum in the match. 115 runs on the board. And here's Zubair Hussain again, going on the back foot this time, playing it back to the bowler, no run. And your options are now to see the next 7 balls out or to see 1 wicket fall. One of those will happen. This is stumping. It is not a stumping. Great piece of work behind the stumps for Syed Shafiq Ali. But Myron James is sufficiently convinced that that back foot remained grounded. That is the end of the over. 4 runs coming from the over. At the end of over number 19, it's 115 for 9. Okay, last over. Back to Sipu. 6 balls maximum or 1 wicket. A stumping attempt here. No. No. Umpire Owen Brown says that that back foot was sufficiently grounded. And we still have another 5 balls maximum remaining. In fact, it may be the time to go through the full scorecard because you don't get the sense that anything significant is going to change in the next several balls. And again, maximum of 5 balls remaining for this chase. The Florida Hurricanes. This is struck in the air. It's going to land safely. Humayun Bashir runs around it. Should get a couple more runs. Oh, yes, they will eventually get 2 runs. So, for the Florida Hurricanes, Matt Qureshi, 5 from 5, clean bowled by Humayun Bashir. Manav Sharma, 25 from 27, 2 4s and no 6s. Awais Mahmood did not score. LBW Humayun Bashir. Samir Sadiq did not score. LBW Kashif Rana. Aprasami Balaji, 13 from 17 with 1 4. He was run out. Then Huda Shamsul, you saw him dismissed. A catch by Hussain Zubair a couple of overs ago. 22 from 23. Amir Kiani, 7 from 6. Morshed Kalam, 5 from 5. Naveed Ahmed, 11 from 8. Junaid Ahmed, 4 from 12. He's still there. Rizwan Mohammed, captain, he's still there. 4 from 6. In the air, just past the diving attempt. inside the circle at short mid wicket. That is Janisar Khan. Saw him put down a pretty straightforward catch a couple of overs ago. That would have been a specky had he been able to pull it off. A lot of bowlers, my goodness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them in all. It's not often that you see 9 bowlers, and oh, look at this. The match ends in comical fashion. Junaid Ahmed played the ball directly into the covers. The non-striker took off running, and essentially both batters ended up at the same end. And Sippu taking an extraordinary long time to have the dismissal be effected. But eventually, that is the end of the match. The huge margin of victory here for the Texas Red Cobras. And I will tell you that they will be convinced that they are one of the teams to beat. Eventually, the margin of victory is 37 runs, but you get the sense that it never felt that close. So as I was going through the 9 bowlers that you had for the Texas Red Cobras, all did relatively well, maybe with the exception of Amir Shahzad, who was a little expensive, 2 overs, none for 20. But of all the bowlers, I think the one who had the biggest impact was Humayun Bashir. 2 overs, make that 3 overs, 2 for 7, with an economy rate of 2.3. Excellent bowling from the all-rounder extraordinaire. That is the end of the coverage for the day. Join us, or I should say join them tomorrow for Finals Day, Championship Sunday, if you will. It has been my pleasure being with you for the last couple of days. I will see you probably the next time this tournament takes place. For now, signing off from the fabulous Moosa Cricket Stadium in Pearland, Texas. Good night and good luck.